I'm AJ, and we're recording episode 81 of our weekly podcast directly to you on youtube.com/directly to you. You know, I'm joined by Parker as always. Hello, Parker.
Yo, what's up? That's the me.
Yup, and we're collectively joined by Luis.
Hi, I'm new
his
here.
YouTube channel. Yes, he is. That's how guests occasionally work. He makes Nintendo stuff like us, but he does like reviews and whatnot. So, like, if that's the sort of thing that you're into, you should check him out. Link to the description. It'll be in the end card. You know, all the fun YouTube jazz. But we do have to do housekeeping as usual. You can support this channel and this podcast by becoming a member on youtube.com/fanatixfour for $4.99. You get exclusive emotes, you get loyalty badges, you get gaming time with us, you get free Switch keys from time to time, you get access to our supporters only Discord. You can join our regular Discord if that's your cup of tea and you don't want to give us money. And if you want to support us but not directly give us money, give us Jeff Bezos' money by going to twitch.tv/fanatixfour and subscribing through your Twitch Prime subscription, which you can get by linking your Amazon Prime to your Twitch account. And that's all the housekeeping stuff.
True that.
So, you guys playing any video games?
Oh, every day. I feel like I don't stop.
So what are you playing? That's not like embargoed.
let me think. I just got done with Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition on Switch. My review for that is out. I want to say like 10 hours ish into Dragon Quest 11 S. I don't remember the whole subtitle right now, but the Switch version of Dragon Quest.
Tutorial, got it.
Yeah, pretty much, you know. And I finished, what was it, Ni no Kuni remastered on PS4 and Switch this week. A lot of JRPGs.
So
this week.
Did you play it on both?
I finished it on Switch and I played through about half on PS4 just for like comparison's sake, just to make sure it wasn't broken.
Yeah, right. It sounded
like trying to complete them both.
Oh, no, I only got 24 hours in the day.
It sounded like from your review that you'd played Ni no Kuni before as well on PS3. Is that right?
Yeah.
Or was this your first time playing it? Nice.
No, so
did it hold up compared to your memories of it from back in the day and all that?
Yeah, so I think I played it in, was it 2013? Because I came out in America, I think 2013, and Japan in late 2011. I mean, I love that game so much. I think its story is really wholesome, and like I think it matches up with just the caliber of the animation studio behind the visuals of it. Playing it on Switch, it's like it's not remastered on Switch. It's pretty much just the PS3 version on Switch. So I mean, your added benefit is it's portable, and then on other devices, it's just like an up-res version with higher frame rate. But I think it lives up. Visuals still look beautiful, story is great, and I think the combat is interesting where it's sort of like a mix of action combat where you play something like Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts, and then like a little bit of turn-based stuff like Persona.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah, go play it.
Nice.
Sure.
Yeah, that's one I'm definitely interested in picking up or playing, mostly just when I have time for it, which right now I don't have a lot of, but down the road.
Right.
I will have more.
If you have 40 hours to kill, go play Ni no Kuni.
Nice. Okay, well, at least it's not, I mean, compared to some other JRPGs, that's not an obnoxiously long time. You know, like, I mean, 100% at Octopath or whatever, and I finished it at the 100-hour mark, like which was fun. Actually, no, I didn't 100% that. That's entirely a lie. I did not beat the final bosses and stuff. But everything else.
Yeah, I mean, there's still people in the comments of my review fighting over whether they got the real ending or not.
Yeah.
That's wild.
But yeah, good stuff. I've been playing, I think. Well, definitely, Luis, you played both of these games, but I've been playing some Link's Awakening and some Untitled Goose Game.
Two great indies, or one great indie, one great Switch games.
Small indie. Well, I guess Grezzo's kind of an indie.
I don't know. Whatever they are. They did a great job. I can tell you that much. Last week when we recorded it was the night before Link's Awakening came out, because it was, a week from yesterday, or a week ago today. So yeah, I got to play that a bunch, and it's great. That was one I played that growing up some, and I don't know if I ever beat it as a kid or not. Like I have distinct memories of like a lot of the bits from it, but I couldn't tell you if I actually beat the game as a kid or not, because I gave it away to my cousin, along with a bunch of other Game Boy games when I was a kid, and then, never got to play them again. I was like, where'd those go? And that's where they'd gone. So yeah, it's great to play. Definitely it has the like frame rate drop things that people point out, but really they don't really bug me at all, other than just noticing like, oh, that's there they are, it happened. But I just finished the 7th dungeon, so I've just got to beat one more dungeon and then go around and tidy up some seashells and all that stuff. But that's been a great time. And then otherwise, Untitled Goose Game, I got a code in for that just a couple days ago, so I started playing it with Ashley. So it's always fun to play games with my wife, because she doesn't play games a whole lot, so it's interesting to see what she's interested in and not. So I just told her about it ahead of time, and then I like pulled it out and I was like, it would be fun to play it together. And she's like, I don't know, maybe whatever. And so I put it in, and I had both the Joy-Cons, and she took one of the Joy-Cons. So for like the beginning of the tutorial, we were playing each with one Joy-Con, which like that's not the best way to play a lot of games.
It's like Astrochain or like IGN. They
You
do the
honk
same
and I move.
Exactly. Yeah, but pretty much. And it was tricky because like anything too that you have to duck down to pick up, like I would duck down and she would pick it up with, because ZL and A are on opposite things. But in any case, she took both the controllers a couple minutes later and played it for a while, and she had a really good time with it. So I think it's just like a funny and quirky game. There were some of the quests ended up being a little bit challenging, I guess, for her doing, but specifically there's one where you have to bring a bunch of stuff to a picnic blanket, and we didn't realize that the picnic blanket was a different whatever. We were bringing it to the wrong spot, and we're like, why isn't it working? That's so weird. And then I went back later and I was like, oh, that's probably why, because we did it wrong. So that's half of the battle.
That'll do it. That'll do it.
Man, the game, all things considered, it's just really fun. A whole lot of fun. I only just finished the first area because I've played probably an hour less of it, and most of that was with her. So, excited to play some more and keep that going. And that's what I've been playing.
I too am playing video games. I've been playing Link's Awakening as well, and I have never played this game in my life. It's one of the very few Zelda games that I have not played. Yep. I don't know why, just didn't happen.
Now, and I'm curious because both of you guys have been playing this. Have you guys had trouble figuring out how to beat the game? Because that's like the consensus around my Discord is that, hey, this game's real cute. Oh my gosh, it's real hard. Like Google the guidelines.
Certain parts of it, I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Like, what do I do? And then like, at those parts, I'll usually be like, all right, I'm done. I'm going to play the other game.
I looked up one thing, and it was specifically, so I finished the fetch quest fine. That was all whatever, finished that. That's all right. And then in the 7th dungeon, you specifically need to use the boomerang. But the fetch quest, once you finish it, it's like, now you've got this thing, you get whatever. I'm not going to spoil things because the game just came out. I mean, again, it's 20-year-old game. So, anyways, but you get a thing, and you're like, cool. Now I've got that thing. I don't know what that does, but that helps you to do a thing. Which you get, like, long story short, it doesn't really funnel you in the direction of like, now use what you got from the fetch quest to get essentially the boomerang.
Yeah.
So I didn't have the boomerang, so I was like, what do I even do in this room? Like, I can tell there's a puzzle here, but I don't know what it is. So I had to look up what that was, and I was like, oh well. It never hinted that at me. I probably could have gone to the like phone booth thing to figure it out at that point. But I don't know. I didn't even think of it at that point. So to answer your question, Luis, I could definitely see how people get there. Like a lot of the things I felt smart for having figured out various little, bits, which if that's the case, then I could see how, I mean, maybe I'm just dumb and feeling smart isn't much of an accomplishment, but nevertheless, I could definitely see how people get there.
For me, it was like a thing of like, all right, I'm going to put this game down, and then I'll come back to it a couple hours or the day after that, and then I'm like, oh, that's what I got to do. Like, I got stuck at one of the parts where you had to use the Pegasus boots to get through it because I wasn't understanding how they worked. I thought that I have to move forward and press the button for it to
You're making mistakes, AJ.
But you just press the button. So I kept trying to move forward. I'm like, this doesn't give me enough space to do this thing and also move forward.
That's funny, yeah.
So then I just came back to the game. I was like, all right, let me just try pressing the button. I was like, ah! It was a revelatory moment. Helped me get through so many more future things.
The little Pegasus boots, like Scooby-Doo run thing, makes me so happy how it goes like, you know, like the little starting up run. It's so cute.
Little nub feet.
Yeah, it's so good.
Also, this game is significantly easier to play when you're not streaming it.
Oh, so absolutely. Yeah.
I feel like that's every game.
That's very good point.
That's true. That's true. But I streamed like the first couple hours of my playthrough, and I did not know what was going on, but I was even more confused because I'm trying to figure out the streaming setup, and also 30 people telling me 30 different things. I'm like, go here and do this and do this first. No, do it like that.
No, you overshot the claw machine. Go a little bit to the right.
Yeah.
No, I am a claw machine guy. I was talking to Dan Cyber of that Cyber channel, and he was also streaming this, and he was like, "Man, the claw machine sucks." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" It's like it's the easiest thing I've ever done in my life.
Right? I haven't missed a single thing. I feel like this is like a humble brag, but like I don't think it's that challenging. I remember it being more difficult on the Game Boy, and I did replay this recently on the 3DS.
I missed one thing, and I tweeted it, and it was some BS because it was one of the seashells, and it fell out of the claw. I was like, that is stupid, and this game is bad.
I've had a couple of those for sure. I think part of what makes it easier, I don't remember if the Game Boy version had this or not, probably not, but like the fact that it shines a little light down on where it's gonna pick stuff up, I feel like that's definitely the pro move.
Yeah, it's like if you line that up, you're probably gonna.
Yeah, Game Boy didn't have that real-time lighting design.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder why.
Lazy devs.
Yeah, seriously,
obviously.
Come on.
But no, the other game I'm playing is everybody guess in the comments. This is Smash Brothers, of course. I didn't get to go to the local because I went there. And apparently it was like 6 hours earlier than I thought it was because there was a convention that was happening. So they moved it up because there was way more entrance and stuff like that. So we're at dude. Now, I know what time it starts this week specifically. And also, Logan is supposed to be also entering. So that's the thing that's interesting. I'll keep you guys updated on how that works. We've been practicing.
Nice. Is there a doubles tournament too? Like, can you do that in there too?
I don't think so.
That'd be interesting.
It's just singles. So like when I knock them out round one, I'll be sure to gloat about it.
It would be a lot more fun if you guys could get up to the semifinals or something together. I don't know.
Yeah. It'd be like a freaking like Dragon Ball Z like Goku versus Tien situation. So yeah. That's gonna be a good time. But we can talk about news now, I guess.
We shall indeed. Yeah, as far as good times go, it's a whole lot of good things happen in the world. One of those things, so Mario Kart Tour released this week, as you guys probably know. And specifically, it broke like a whole bunch of records as far as like the number of people downloading it and stuff.
It also did that.
Long story short, here's kind of one thing said that it had 10.1 million downloads in the first day, but some other things seemed to suggest it was closer to 20 million.
Yeah, because they only reported on the Android numbers.
The huge difference, yeah.
Because the Android numbers are publicly available.
Gotcha.
So it's easy to be like, oh yeah, that's how much the Android downloads are, but like iPhone adds more to that. Well, iOS adds even more to that.
Yep. So all that said, it broke the record of previously it was Pokemon Go as the number one or the fastest downloaded mobile game. I assume that that's a separate category from like some other kinds of apps or whatever. But then again, like, I don't know, whatever, it doesn't matter. In any case, Pokemon Go was 6.7 million in the first day. Super Mario Run was 4.7 million the first day. But Mario Run also had a good old 36% increase bump this week because of Mario Kart Tour. So look at that.
Yeah,
People
like people just typing in Mario,
getting their Mario juice going.
There it is. There's Mario.
Yeah.
I'll download that.
So that's all cool. That's some, newsy bits. But as far as, the rest of it goes, we've actually got a question that I pulled from Q&A just to bring up here, and then we can just kind of get talking on our thoughts about it. Falcon asks, two-parter. Number one, have you played Mario Kart Tour? If yes, what are your thoughts? And if no, why not? And then he said, before you guys discuss this in the news portion, which is true. So there you go. Okay. What are you guys' thoughts? Mario Kart Tour, have you played it? Seen anything about it? Et cetera, et cetera.
So I have played it. Mm-hmm. I played the first cup. And I was like, I don't like this game. Like, it just feels so weird to control. And it's like, I started it like with the default, like, whatever the
manual drift, I think.
It was like because like they do like the whole thing where it's like you want to pick the baby mode or the not baby mode, and I was like, I'm not a baby.
What's the baby mode if the game goes by itself already?
It's like if you don't drift if it just automatically turns and you don't do the touch drift or whatever.
What do you do then if it goes by itself and it drifts for you?
I don't know. I have no idea what the other mode does, but you touch to drift on the one that I picked. And even that was like stupid. So I went into the settings and you can like turn on like motion controls for turning and stuff like that. So that feels like semi better, but like something that Bob from Olfden keeps bringing up is that the game feels weird because like it's portrait and there are tens of thousands potentially of like racing games that are just straight up this and you steer in landscape mode. And Nintendo's like on this kick of like, well, we make mobile games that are intended for mobile users and mobile users hold their phone and portrait, like that whole thing. And it doesn't feel great like that. But I beat the first cup and I got all the stars and all that.
Yeah, you did.
And I'm going to start the second one. I got like the the rubies that they gave you, and I only summoned like 2 characters, and both of them are characters I don't like. I got Toad and I got Peach.
I got Toadette and Peach, so we got some overlap there. Luis, did you get to play this game at all?
I was in the beta or alpha on Android and on the iPad. I was like pretty mediocre on it. I was like, all right, I'm not going to play this. But I mean, I thought it was pretty bare bones. And especially I think what's more eye-opening to me is last week they released Apple Arcade on iOS, and that is like, as much as I want to like say there aren't a ton of great mobile games as of lately, I think with Apple Arcade it shows that there's a lot of good on the service, especially like now that you can just plop it on a PlayStation Switch or Xbox controller with Bluetooth. Like I played Sayonara Wild Hearts completely on it, and I'm like, if you want to play a good auto run game or like endless running, go play that game instead of Mario Kart, and it's free if you have our Apple Arcade.
It is interesting.
Yeah, well, because you get a month free on Apple Arcade, so I mean, go play Sayonara Wild Hearts, stuff like that.
It's like $5 a month Apple Arcade after the first month. So like, I mean, if you have an iPhone or a Mac or an iPad, it's worth.
Yeah, I mean, for 100 games, you could easily beat like half of that library, I think, in the first month. So it's totally worth it. You got Oceanhorn 2 on there, Sayonara, completely worth it. And I just think it feels like kind of bare bones, and I think especially with the Apple Arcade release as of last week, I feel like this could have easily just been like a stripped down version of Mario Kart with like controller support. Put it out on Apple Arcade. You won't. If they're doing the free-to-play model, at least like put it out on Apple Arcade, and I'm sure they'll be able to make more money because a ton of people will be playing it and will be playing it for long periods of time. I believe that's how they make money.
I think Nintendo is like the type of company that's like hesitant to do something like that unless they're incentivized further. Like if Apple did a like Nintendo tier for Apple Arcade where it's like, okay, pay $1.50 extra or whatever and you get Nintendo games, I could see them doing it, but as is, I don't think that I don't know how they pay out their developers, but I don't know if the money's there for them to want to do that.
From what I understand, it's like $5 a month, and like a portion of that gets distributed to whoever's app gets played the most. And I'm sure Mario Kart would get a ton of time. Right. But what I started thinking was that when I think the iPhone 10 got announced, or X, whatever you want to call it, they had a Super Mario Run on stage with Miyamoto. So I was like, they totally had that partnership down. Like they could have easily just put that out there.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's just like a very, like, if I wanted a bare bones Mario Kart, like, this is even more stripped down. I wouldn't like invest my time on it.
Yeah, right. I think honestly, like, it's hard coming from our side as like console gamers to go to a mobile game and like really judge it in some ways, because it's like, honestly, it's not good as far as like, you know, it being a real game. And like, there are some great games on mobile, but I think, you know, the kind of games that this is, like, it's, you know, it's just not the same thing. So I agree on that front. I think like I think it's very, and like, it makes sense to me that they wouldn't put it on Apple Arcade, because they're just most of the games that are on Apple Arcade, I think, are developers that are like, we're gonna make a good game and put it on mobile. You know, like, that's like their MO, and it's like, get all this exposure and get people to like play the game and make money off it, and like that's awesome, and that's specifically good. Like, it's good to have good games coming to mobile, and that Apple Arcade is, you know, doing that with that. But whereas I think Nintendo's MO is more like, we're just going to do something that seems like kind of fun and is using this IP, and we'll put it out on mobile, and we'll try to find ways to make some money off of it. And some of those, they've done a terrible job at making money off of it, and others, they're doing quite a good job, like Fire Emblem Heroes or whatever. But it's interesting, like, I looked up, like, Monument Valley is a game that comes to mind that's like a well-renowned, like, that's a good mobile game that people like. And I looked up how much that game made, and it, in its first year, it made, I think, $5.8 million, which is like, that's money. But then Fire Emblem Heroes has made $300 million. Yeah. And I've definitely heard more people, I feel like, talk about Monument Valley than Fire Emblem Heroes, but I mean, that, you know, other than within our sphere specifically, because like, obviously we're going to hear about that. So I think there's just like, it's kind of like the FIFA thing where nobody's like, FIFA's the best game ever. It's more like people that are like, I just want to play FIFA, so I'm probably going to play FIFA, and like, we'll put tons of money into it, and they make so much money off that, it's ridiculous. I feel like that's, you know, that sector of mobile games is more where Nintendo is aiming for, and sometimes it's not very intrusive, I guess maybe is the right word, but like, you know, aggressive or something like that. And then other times, like, some of what they're doing with Mario Kart Tour is like, that's pretty
like
aggressive.
Subscription service inside the game. I was like, all right, calm down.
Exactly. Like,
it's like the subscription being more than Switch Online is.
No kidding. That's crazy. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a mobile gamer as far as like, I mean, I've said on here before that, like, I like to have 1 or 2 games on my phone that I'll just pick up and play some. And like, there was a while before the Switch came out that I had to play Clash of Clans, but I never put money into it or any of that kind of thing. I just, you know, would play it here and there for a little bit, which is probably the majority of those kinds of gamers. But like, I can't imagine what person would be like, this is the game that I want to pay $5 a month for. Like, especially when there's Apple Arcade, like you said, Luis. Like, that's interesting to think about.
What makes me think more is that the whole benefit of Apple Arcade is you're getting all these games that, I mean, like, there's a Frogger game, right, on Apple Arcade.
Fun.
And you unlock costumes and stuff. And my thought process when playing it was like, why do I want all these costumes? And it's because obviously this game had in-app purchases before, and then Apple was like, hey, just put it on here, strip the in-app purchases and just have it be a game. And I think that's the benefit of the service, is that people can make games where it's not like, hey, we gotta like eventually make money off this, so let's try to find ways to put in-app purchases. No, it's like they just put out the game they want to make. So it's back to that benefit of being like when mobile came out, you would get, you know, your like $8 game every once in a while, and it wouldn't have in-app purchases, but it would cost a lot of money. And then people have that weird thing where like, it's a phone game, so I don't want to pay more than $1 for it. But I think I wouldn't describe myself as a mobile game player, but I mean, in the last 2 weeks, I think that's completely changed with Apple Arcade, and I think it's benefiting more people on it too.
What do you mostly play on your phone, or you said you have an iPad, I guess?
Yeah,
did you mostly play on there?
I have a Pixel, so I don't have a phone, but like, I played through Sayonara Wild Hearts and Oceanhorn 2 with the Xbox controller and my iPad.
Okay, nice.
That's so. But Apple Arcade makes me wonder if Apple would even allow Nintendo to have their own Apple Arcade. Because I could see them be more likely to do something like that, where instead of doing the Mario subscription, they just have a Nintendo subscription. And it's the same price as Apple Arcade, and it works with iOS and Android, and then they get, or maybe it's more because they have their own cut or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that on
maybe
Android,
it's like
but on
$7 a
iOS.
month. Yeah.
Just so
But
they're a little bit
I
more
could definitely
closed
see
off.
them do. I think Android will let them do that. Well, they don't really. They don't really try to wall off anybody.
Yeah, I mean,
open
it's
source.
free market on Android. On iOS, you got to go through
Right.
Apple.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder if they would be more likely to do something like that, because like they've wanted to do like this straightforward like monetization of their games with like Mario Run, and it just didn't work. People didn't want to pay for something like that in that way. So if they're able to just say, hey, pay us $7 a month or whatever to play all of our mobile games, and they're better tailored to an experience that you would want to play on mobile, less so than an experience that exists that is tailored to making you pay them money. You know, I think that would be more conducive to how Nintendo makes games at their best.
Yeah. I think that's interesting. One thought I was having too is, and I think I said this about maybe it was Dr. Mario when that came out, but similar conversation.
I'm gonna be quite honest right now. I forgot that came out.
I played it for a little bit.
Most of the world did.
Yeah, it was fun enough, but yeah, I mean, some of the criticism I think of some of these games is like, well, it would take this much time or this much money to complete it, to get, you know, all the things, which I think is absolutely fair on console games. Like that rhetoric around Star Wars Battlefront 2. Yeah, that was ridiculous that it would take that much time or that much money, especially on a $60 game. Like that's the main thing, you know, like all those kinds of factors, like that game was pure trash along those lines. But it feels like maybe not unfair, but just like, well, that's kind of just the territory with free-to-play mobile games where like the goal isn't supposed to be, like, our goal with most games is to complete it, you know, like that's what that's what we do with games, or finish it in any case, maybe not like complete it like completionist levels, but at least like to get to the end of it and then be done playing it for a while. Whereas like mobile games, the whole point is having purposes or reasons for you to either pay money or play for a long time. And so I think that's kind of like is an interesting bit of that conversation where like, as console gamers coming to a franchise that we like and love, but on a mobile platform, it's trying to see like, hey, how can we give you content to use for a long time rather than, how can we give you a great experience that you can complete? But which is changing for sure with like you said, like Oceanhorn 2 exactly is that kind of thing where it's like, here's just like a great game.
Games, these aren't mobile games, but games that are on mobile.
Exactly, yeah, which is awesome. Like that's super great that that's there. So it's just interesting kind of comparing all those things. So like games being kind of aggressive with that on mobile platforms, I don't really hold particularly against them, but I definitely can see how people would at the same time. So it's just yeah.
I wonder how like non-console gamers specifically feel about this.
I very much am curious.
Did they see that subscription service and was like, "What? That's more than another service I pay for." You know, do they feel like that, or are they just like, business as usual? I'm already paying $400 for all the different subscription fees that I already got.
I think they wouldn't feel like my just pure guess is they wouldn't be mad about it because they wouldn't think that they were owed it in the first place. Whereas that's maybe a little more how we tend to feel on that kind of thing. So they'd be more like, all right, that one's got a subscription service. Nah, I'm good. You know, like, and maybe that's a more common thing in some mobile game stuff than I even know about. I don't know. I don't pay attention to it.
Yeah, because I don't know. Like, I feel like the people that I see complaining about this don't want to play this game anyway.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So like, I don't get the psychology behind that. Where it's like, I hate this game, and also they're trying to make me pay $5 a month to play this game that I don't want to play.
Yeah.
Like, why are you mad about that?
Here's the thing, Nintendo, just like let me use my platinum coins to pay for this thing. All right,
That's a very good point.
Sitting there.
True.
They are totally sitting there. I literally, like, the last time I used platinum coins was one of the guys in our community, Striker XL, was like, hey man, in Europe we don't have some of the like wallpapers that you guys get in the States. Could you grab me like some of the Fire Emblem ones and send them over? And I was like, yep, I've got a bunch of platinum coins doing literally nothing. So I just grabbed all of them and I was like, here you go.
Sad.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty pathetic, but
I'm gonna look and see because this does have you link your account.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you would probably get coins playing this game there. So like, at least let me pay for the subscription with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man, that's interesting. But while you're looking that up too, on the Mario Kart thing, we also got an announcement this week for a Mario Kart Wheel controller for the Switch by HORI. It's also for PC, so for whatever that's worth. Here's the news blurb about it. It says, HORI has announced a new Mario Kart Racing Wheel accessory for Switch. It will come in 2 versions, a standard release and a more expensive DX version. This new accessory works with both the Switch and PC. Functions from the Switch controller have been migrated over to the new device and even comes with a foot pedal. While only works in docked mode, it's compatible with other modes and the Switch Lite through an extra USB accessory. With the hold button, you can have an item held behind you. Players can choose to assign the different buttons as they please as well. There's also a dead zone adjustment and reality adjustment with 7 different levels for adjusting turning radius so that you can set it to your liking. The DX edition throws in suction cups and clamps, and they are respectively, I think, $65-ish. The price was just in yen, so roughly $65-ish and $130-ish for each of these. So there's that.
Okay, so they do, like, you don't get anything for this game. It's not even listed on their apps or services. It says smart device apps, and you can like funnel it down to like Pokemon Rumble Rush or Animal Crossing Pocket.
This is going through
shout out to like the people playing Rumble Rush though.
That's right.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was on their app. Like it's so random. Like, why is that on their app, but like Pokemon Go's not? You know, like yeah, it's confusing.
So, super weird. Anyone buying this wheel thing?
No.
It's interesting.
Why are they putting out this wheel so long after DX came out? What's the point?
Yeah, like I don't think that there's anybody like that, you know? Like, I could see if it was like a Smash Brothers sort of situation where there are like people like me that are like, I'm going to this tournament, bro. But like, did people go to Mario Kart 8 locals? Like, are they like trying to like optimize their Mario Kart play?
I feel like entering a Mario Kart tournament is as good as gambling at this point. It's like you don't.
Yes.
I don't even think it's a skillful thing anymore. I think it's just like you're gonna get lucky.
Yeah. I was playing online once and straight up got hit by a blue shell and then sequentially 4 red shells and went from first to 6th place in like literally seconds. And I was like, all right, I'm not playing online.
Once you're in 6th place, that's like the prime area to get even more Mario Kart.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Oh, and for all things, like, and this was like 2 turns from the end of the 3rd lap, so it was like right at the end, and then I was like, okay, there we go, whatever, there's that. But no, you're totally right. Yeah, I don't know. The timing, I didn't even think about that, but the timing really is just super bizarre because, like, if say there's Mario Kart 9 coming out at some point, they could have waited for Mario Kart 9, but there's not, so kind of random time. I mean, it's like, it looks cool, and for somebody who wants to use it, like, that's awesome, but the timing really is very weird. So,
like, maybe somebody getting Grid Auto Sport, like, maybe they'll buy this.
Yeah. That's a good point. I mean, maybe with more of those racing games. I feel like there was a question.
For the people that were just like waiting on the controller, just so they can pick that up.
Yeah.
It seems so random or something like that. Mario Kart does not seem like the type of game that's like, I need more precise control over this.
Yep. Okay. So here, I'm going to pull this bit from this question that Grimhane asked. This is. So I'll highlight it so we don't just answer it again later. But he also said, well, with the announcement of Ring Fit, which seems to be exclusively used in the Ring Fit game or whatever they're calling it, and the recent announcement of the rather expensive steering wheel controller from HORI for the limited racing games on Switch, it's starting to feel like the return of the Wii era of gimmicky controllers. Obviously, we're not there yet, but do you think Nintendo has more like this in store? And do you think that customers are ready to once again fill their closets with single-use controllers, especially for a system like the Switch being a hybrid and the Switch Lite being hyper-focused on portability?
I don't think they look at like Ring Fit in that way, where it's like to them Ring Fit is more you buying like workout equipment, less so than it is you buying a controller. You know, like you're not going to see, well, maybe you'll see, I don't know, people are weird, But you're not going to see like, can I beat Breath of the Wild with only the Ring Fit Adventure controller?
Well, you're definitely
like
going to see that. Like that's definitely happening.
But I mean, I mean normal people that aren't trying to monetize how they play video games. Not that many people are going to like buy this controller or this game and expect for it to play with other games,
right?
Because that's not really what the product is for. It's supposed to be that like Brain Age Academy thing where it's like you're going to play this game for a few hours for the rest of your life is their game plan, you know?
I mean,
yeah,
or
I
like Wii Fit kind of thing.
In the series. Yeah, because like Wii Fit, you're like, oh, how many times they use the balance board? But despite that thing sold so many copies of both like Wii Fit and the sequel that like, yeah, it works on what, like 2 games, maybe a few other third-party games, but it's more that you're investing in the series. And like there's people who are, despite what, like I don't think any of us are going to pick up the Ring and be like, yeah, I'm going to, you know, support every release so far. But but despite that, there are people that are going to do that, even if it's like a small margin. I mean, sad fact, I had Labo, or the first 2 kits of Labo, and like after a year I was like, all right, well this thing's taking space, I don't want to like break apart the cardboard. I'm like, can I give this away? Can you sell this thing? What do you do? It's $80 cardboard. What am I supposed to do with this thing? Yeah. You know, I have a piano in the closet. Like I'm not using it. What do I do?
That's the Labo stuff up there. Labo.
Exactly.
That's where that's at.
You know what's
dangle
fun
it from
is like
your ceiling,
having
you know?
a date over to your apartment and be just being like, yeah, that's a piano. Does it work? I'm like, yeah, it plays games.
I mean, that's what that's for, though. It's like when people come over, it's like, what is this thing? And it's like, let me show you.
You down
like,
to play some Labo?
Yeah, like, check this out, man.
Yep, man. And speaking of drifting, as we're talking about this stuff, is the Switch Lite drifting?
Oh my god, I hate that. I hate it. I'm canceling this podcast.
That was beautifully done.
There you go. There's that for you. Yeah, so this whole thing that's been, you know, it's been in the talks the past week or so. I've got thoughts on it, but I'll let you guys say some on. Also, the Switch Lite sold 177,000 units in Japan last week, so that's pretty good. But yes, Switch Lite drifting, any of that stuff.
Sold like 200 something?
I think it was like 144,000 in Japan.
Yeah, we'll probably see it jump up in the holiday season.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you're totally right.
So me and Bob were playing Link's Awakening on Sunday, and somebody in the chat was like, "My Switch Lite is drifting," and we're just generally talking about that because it was the thing that everybody was talking about. That and Link's Awakening's price.
Yep,
it was like the topic of the stream, and somebody in the chat was like, "My Switch Lite's drifting," and we're like, "We don't believe you," because it just seems like something that people want to say, just like to be angry about something on the internet. So we were like, tweet us a video, and they tweeted us a video, and it sure was drifting. It was indeed a yikes. And apparently the one that there was like something sketchy about the one that circulated, that was like manufactured in some way. But the one that we got, it didn't get like a whole bunch of views. It was just tweeted at the Wolf Den's account. And then directed to us to be like, hey, look at this. This is like the thing I was talking about during the stream. So yeah, that sucks. But I don't think it's worthy of like all this rage. Like, just take it back to the store or send it to Nintendo. Like,
no, I got lucky where I have not experienced drifting it at all, and I've had my Switch since, before it came out. I had a review model in like February, so it's almost 3 years old soon. And the Joy-Con are still fine. Maybe I just lucked out, but I've never experienced it. But I've had plenty of people in my comments talking to me about it. I'm happy that they're doing the Joy-Con transfer. Switch Lite is a week old. You're gonna get it replaced easily right now if you just take it back to the store. Right. But hopefully they offer up that Joy-Con transfer in the future for the console, because that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, I've experienced Joy-Con drift a lot. Like, I've recently swapped out my 4th set of Joy-Con because of Joy-Con drift, but I feel like I'm like a fringe case because I used to play Smash Brothers on my handheld just to practice and get timing down and stuff like that. So I'm over here doing reverse aerials and all this crazy crap. So my analog stick gets a lot of wear and tear. I stopped doing that. I'm like, I'm not. All right, I'm done. I'm just playing in docked mode now.
Maybe that's it too. Because as a reviewer, I'm forced to play docked mode 80% of the time. So my Joy-Con are pretty. I've been using a Pro controller, so they're not that worn down, despite being that old.
I think that seems like the thing for this is I'm curious that I was listening to like the Wolf Den and they were talking about it a little bit and somebody was whatever. In any case, the difference between I think all the drifting that we're seeing on regular Joy-Cons is more wear and tear related, whereas the ones that are on the Switch Lite, they wouldn't have had time to be wear and tear related yet. Like, so it couldn't quite be the same issue. So it's probably, I would guess it's more manufacturer issue just out the gate, where like something just, I don't know, some machine messed up a little bit and like did something a little wrong. I don't know what that even means.
Yeah, like I never got a set of Joy-Con that were immediately drifting. Right. It was always like, all right, I put like 40 hours into these Joy-Con playing Smash Brothers or something. And that's why,
I'll hear people talking about like, yeah, the drifting was a big issue, like right when the Switch launched, and then people shut up about it, and then it came back up. But at least in my recollection, the drifting issues from back then weren't related to the same kind of thing that we're seeing at this point, which is, like even in handheld mode, it'll be the case. Those were more related to them dropping out. So it wasn't that they were drifting so much as like bad connection because there wasn't a good enough antenna or whatever on the left Joy-Con. So then like if you held it down, next to you or something like that, it would just like drop connection a lot. So then physically it's still doing the thing fine, but connection wise, it's messing up all over the place. So I mean, I could also be wrong about these things. I don't really know, but I am curious to see. I think, if you do get a Switch Lite and it has drift things, definitely bring it back, like both you guys said, and get it replaced. And then I think you should be at least good for a while. Like if you get one that's fine, it's going to be fine for at least a while. I don't know how long that is, but
I mean, also pro tip too: if you have to return your Switch Lite, like make sure if you got like gray, yellow, like make sure you get the better color. It's teal. It's the best color.
There you go.
100%. And I don't know why people keep doing that, but Bob also called it teal. It's turquoise. How dare you?
Okay, my bad. I don't have one, all right? So whatever. I'm tempted. I don't need one. I can't record on it, but I want it.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you know what else? You know what you do have that we don't? Dragon Quest XI's. I would like it.
It is beefy. It's a real beefy game.
So we had a piece of news about this. The long story short is that, two little pieces of news. One of them is that they were saying that it's a remake, not a port, which is an interesting little tidbit
that's some Sakurai stuff
talking about. And then the second bit is that specifically they said that it was made for Satoru Iwata. So the quote here is, Dragon Quest XI's is finally launching on Switch tomorrow. It's been a long time coming, as we've known about the game ever since the console was given its NX code name. There weren't too many that knew the Switch or what the Switch actually was at the time, including some of the top developers at Square Enix. During today's Dragon Quest XI's channel countdown special live stream, that was a lot of words, the developer discussed Dragon Quest XI's long journey to the Switch. The late Nintendo president Satoru Iwata, before his passing, had conversations with him about the hardware and revealed its hybrid ability of being able to play at home or on the go. Other crucial information like the system's name were still under wraps. Some might be curious why Dragon Quest XI's was announced so early and why it was made known before the Switch was unveiled. We can thank Iwata for that, as it was a request of his for the RPG to appear on Nintendo's new platform. The developer said in the stream that they've now delivered on their promise to bring Dragon Quest XI's to the Switch.
That's a
wholesome
crazy story.
The influence that he still has on everything, that's wild. Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying, Luis?
No, it's just a wholesome story, It's like it's out. What, 2 years after the console came out, but finally got there.
Yeah.
Just wraps it up all nice.
There's like one other game that we knew about like before the Switch actually came out that we still don't have.
Shin Megami Tensei 5. Yeah, there we go. The one, you got it.
Right.
And then people a couple other ones that just
like,
they canceled.
I haven't heard anything. I'm sorry.
Like have we even seen gameplay from that game? Like at all?
I think just in-game or in-engine stuff, but no gameplay.
Yeah.
Was it confirmed that was in engine?
Yeah, because they came out with like a logo at first, and then they came out with like something about a year or 2 years ago.
Yeah,
where they showed like the demons, like you saw Jack Frost and everything.
Right. Yeah. I just didn't know if that was in engine or not. I thought it was like it's like just like a target render or whatever.
Yeah. Oddly enough, I've heard murmurs of like things with Persona happening, like the series in the future, but I've not heard anything about SMT5. That's like kind of weary, but
so
I mean,
weird.
hopefully it's just because it's well hidden, and maybe I just don't have contacts there. But
Yeah.
I mean, who knows?
It is crazy how some things, I mean, like Astral Chain, for example, seems like nobody seemed to really know anything about that before. I mean, maybe you did, I don't know, but like it seemed like that was completely out of the blue for most people. So it is crazy how some of those games, there's that, and then there's other games on the other side that's like seems like everybody knows about for years in advance. But yeah, so it's cool that it's coming. What do you guys think about, how do you guys take the whole it's a remake and not a port thing?
I think it's a whole bunch of nonsense. Where it just seems like they put in more work than just a straight port. So like I feel like that's where a lot of that comes from. But like at the end of the day, it's a port. You know, like it's a port. They didn't completely remake the game like from ground zero. You know, like it's still the same skeleton that they added more stuff onto.
Yeah, which I mean they added a lot of stuff. So there's but it's, I think still that doesn't necessarily change the definition just because of how much. I'm trying to think of a good analogy, but none's coming to mind. But I mean, like they added like the 2D mode and stuff like that. Like that's pretty much brand new stuff that they added on.
But it's not, because it was on the 3DS version.
Yeah, but it's still different from the 3DS version, isn't it? I mean, well, I guess it's different from the 3DS version, but you're right. It had the overworld map that was
different.
there.
Yeah, it's different in the sense that like it's not like a switch in between thing of like I want to go to 2D mode. It was just there, like in the touchscreen or whatever. But it was still there.
Yeah,
Not a remake,
Luis,
but more
what do
like
you think?
I think it's like a definitive edition. But I mean, I haven't finished it either, so I'm still playing it. But as far as like, it kind of has everything that's been out so far. So I would describe it like, what's a good example? Like Hyrule Warriors, right? That got released 3 times, I think.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I was like, so like the Switch version, it ultimately had everything from the 3D, or most of everything from the 3DS and the Wii U version, and that wasn't a remake, but it's kind of the definitive version where it has a little bit of everything.
Yep.
So that's what I call this.
100%. I think, I mean, which makes sense too. That's even, in there, it's what, Dragon Quest XI-S Echoes of an Elusive Age Definitive Edition. So that they even say Definitive Edition in there. So I think really that's their probably real stance, but I'm sure, I don't even know what the quote, I just saw people quoting on, like talking about the quote. So, for if one guy was like, I mean, it's pretty much a remake, not even a port, and then people talk about that, I guess maybe that's where the news comes from in the first place. But I think Definitive Edition is
where it's just like, hey, it's not a straight port. It's like there's something that's not on the PS4 version.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, I feel like that messaging is used a lot.
Yeah. Like
what they said about like Smash Bros. Ultimate, where there was like, this is from the ground up, and from the ground up has like this hazy like definition to it, where it's like, what does that actually mean?
Well, and that the thing too is now that we're in kind of the generation where we are, people, I don't know, there's nothing wrong with bringing stuff over at the same time, whereas like
I mean games would never be finished if they didn't do that.
So that's the thing with, I mean, I hate to go into it, but the whole Pokemon conversation, like they never, like people talk about, the whole comment of, well, because we're spending a lot of time on animations is a big sticking point, but we don't know. And then people will point out like, but all these animations are the same as these animations. And like, even with that, I don't know, maybe there's some gray area as far as like, if they had to do a lot of work to make those animations be those animations in the different engine or whatever. But the even more important thing is like, well, they never said specifically we're going to redo every single animation. They just said we're working on animation. So like it could be that they're talking about like character animation, like completely separate stuff, all the Gigantamax stuff. I don't know, whatever it is. I think the point is they could bring stuff over in 5
frames. They could have changed 5 frames of animation on all the Pokemon, and what they had to do that 600 times. Like that's still a lot of work. I
mean, I think if anything, it's probably just like something that was mistranslated, because like I've been studying Japanese for like the past 2 years, and something that happened recently was like with Hideo Kojima, he like said he had finished Death Stranding, and then someone mistranslated his Japanese quote where it was like, yes, I finally finished Death Stranding, and it was like everyone in English Twitter was like,
it was me.
Yeah, it was like, thank your staff. And then like in the Japanese version I read it, I'm like, yo, he said Kojima Productions finally has completed the project. Like completely different translation. So I think it could have just been something lost.
Yep. Yep. So, but speaking of Dragon Quest XI-S, the last bit of news that we've got is, and I grabbed this right before we started, so I didn't even look into it all that much. But Hero is banned from Smash in specific tournaments. Oh no, from official Smash Bros. Tournaments in France. Hero's not going to be in them, as well as future DLC characters. Oh, like I said, I didn't really read this. I just pulled it, so. This is interesting.
I think it's a time frame thing more than anything.
Okay.
Well, not with Hero. Hero is because it's like the language barrier and stuff like that, where it's like there's people that speak different languages, and then they look at Hero's menu
really
and they're
good
like,
point.
oh, this is in English, and I speak French, like that whole thing, or vice versa, or Japanese, or whatever, right? So he's banned for that reason, less so the like how unbalanced he is.
That's super, because it would just give some people advantages as far as like. I mean, honestly, it would even if like you're playing against Hero, I don't know. When you play against any heroes, do you read what their do you read their menus like what they see when you play against them? Okay,
not at all. I take that little second of like pop-up menu. I'm like, you're about to get smashed. But yeah, I mean,
usually I'm like, okay, these are the options that are on there, so I'm gonna like try to react to the ones that are the most dangerous. So like if I see magic burst or whatever, I'm like, all right, I'm staying away, just in case they do that.
I think the thought process of when someone's playing Hero in a Smash game, both like the person playing and the person playing against them are both like, oh crap, what am I gonna do?
Pretty much. I haven't gotten any of the DLC characters, but Hero still seems like the one that would be the most fun to try out, just for the obvious random RNG stuff. It's just a good old time.
Shame on you.
But yeah, so that's all the news that we've got for today, and now we go into the next bits that we normally do, which is AJ and I each do a video every week, and then we pull some comments from there, and then we talk about those. So AJ's video this week was talking about he ranked Zelda games that are on the Switch, and which ones are the best, which ones are the worst, and everything in between. So you guys commented on that, and then we'll be reading some of these and talking about it. So I am Solez says, I'm a 90s kid, and I didn't play a single Zelda game until Breath of the Wild. I did have a few Nintendo systems as a kid, but never gravitated towards it. Picking up Breath of the Wild blew my mind day one, but also set a pretty high standard for me. Cadence of Hyrule is my second Zelda-ish game I own, and I love the rhythm mechanics. I didn't pick up Link's Awakening yet because I'm not a huge fan of the art style. Even though I'm not huge on Zelda as a whole, I did read the Majora's Mask manga, and I'd pick it up for the Switch if it gets remade or remastered.
Yes. I mean, I'm also a 90s kid. And I played a whole lot of Zelda games. This one specifically missed me because it was on the Game Boy. It came out the same year that I did. So I was like, I'm not playing a Game Boy game that's not Pokemon. Are you crazy? I think that's the major reason. But for context for you, Luis, the ranking specifically is from worst to best is Hyrule Warriors, Zelda 2, the original Legend of Zelda, Cadence of Hyrule, Link's Awakening, Link to the Past, Breath of the Wild. For all the games that are on Switch. That was the ranking in the video. Anyway.
Agree or disagree, Luis?
Give me the hot take.
Oh, hang on. Hey, we can't hear you all of a sudden. I don't know what happened, but...
Oof.
I had my mic muted, so I didn't pick it on you.
There we
You're
go.
back. Cool.
Basically, I agree with the best ones. I got lost in the worst ones, but I agree so far with the best ones so far. And I think that's the ones that matter.
Yeah, probably so.
Also, like, shout out for you reading the Majora's Mask manga. That's oddly specific.
Yeah, that is, especially for somebody that's not already a Zelda
That's
fan.
what I figured. I don't know a whole lot of manga stuff besides, like, a little bit about ones that I watch My Hero, so I know that there's a manga of that, and that kind of sounds like One Punch Man or whatever. But as far as, other stuff, I didn't even know there was a Majora's Mask manga, so that's...
Yeah,
there's
me
a
either.
Twilight Princess one, too. I don't know if there's a Wind Waker one, which they dropped the ball on that. Like, if anything, do a Wind Waker one.
Honestly, a Wind Waker, like, Saturday or Sunday morning cartoon strip would be great. I don't even know, like, I don't even know what it would be, but just like silly things, that are just like little four-pane, it would be good. But yeah, it's interesting in any case. Breath of the Wild being your first one definitely does kind of set a different bar for Zelda games.
I mean, yeah,
For
because
sure.
pretty much every other game in the series is different. So you go back, you're like, I love this. I'm gonna go back and play the other ones. You're like, this is so different.
Yeah, so like it really depends on what you like about it, right?
Yeah.
Because there are people like more so Bob than me that like don't like Zelda games just in general, but Breath of the Wild is like this thing that really resonated with him, where he's like, oh, yeah, this game is good. I'll play this, but the other ones, forget that.
And I definitely, I mean, I know of a couple people that love the Zelda, you know, form factor and formula and stuff, and then did not like Breath of the Wild for that reason, and like for all these things.
Yeah.
I mean, I mentioned a couple months back or weeks back that I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was listing off all these reasons that he didn't like it, and I was like, yeah, I could definitely see that one, but then I kind of felt like this about it after a while. And like after a little while through the conversation, he was like, you know what, maybe I did like Breath of the Wild more than I thought I did. I was like, that's really funny.
Yeah, I mean, some people just like linear stuff, man. Some people like being told what to do. Yeah, it's like when you have to describe Minecraft to somebody, it's like, it's kind of a game you just do whatever you want. We're like, but what do I want to do?
Yeah, but like, tell me what I want to do.
That's honestly I think the primary reason I've never even tried to get into Minecraft was because the only times I've played it was the creative mode at a friend's house, where they're like, this is awesome, I have all the tools at my disposal. Normally I'm so limited, but now I can do whatever I want. And for me, I'm like, okay, well, it's, if you just give me like a billion Legos, and no direction. Actually, okay, with Legos, I'd figure out some direction. But, you know, all things considered, it's nice to have a kind of direction of some sort and limitations to start out with, and then you can kind of grow past those limitations.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yep. True indeed. Mark Albert says, from the old man in the chats, I have a great love for Zelda series since its first debut in the US when I got it in '87. That's only surpassed by Mario, Kid Icarus, and Metroid. I agree that Zelda 2 is divisive, with the overworld being troubling factor in my opinion that was similar to why I couldn't get into Dragon Quest / Warrior as well. But always had a nostalgic love well into the Wii and Wii U era when I was just more a casual gamer for a period. Breath of the Wild got me back into my love of video games, and part of that has to do with how, for me at least, it made open world gaming accessible without saddling me down with what was a common trope among them. Great concise list and reasons.
Thanks. Yeah, I feel the same way, because like I start a lot of open world games, and just due to the nature of our channel, like I'm sure, Luis, you play a lot more games that like don't necessarily resonate with you, but you stick with it because you got to do a review.
Yeah.
If a game doesn't resonate with me, I'm like, okay, I'm done, because like I'm not going to talk about this unless I care about it.
Yeah, I don't have that freedom. Sometimes I'll like, sometimes I'll see a game that looks cool, and I'm like, can I get a code for this? I get the code, and the game kind of sucks. I'm like, well, I guess I'm playing this for 20 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, so like that's something that like open world games, I'll start them like the more like traditional, or I guess traditional in quotes, like the Assassin's Creeds and like that sort of thing. Like I'll play those and I'm like, I don't really like this one. But Breath of the Wild, just how it like approached everything and like had changes to that like established genre. They just all stuck with me a lot more, and like it does a lot better of a job of making you feel like you're making progress even when you're just exploring. Like most of that game, I turned the HUD off, I wasn't looking at the map, I would just wander and say, oh, that looks neat over there, and then that would make me progress, because like I ran into like Prince, what is his name, the Prince guy. I ran into him, and that started a
Sidon, I think.
Yeah.
He's great.
So I ran into him and so many of the other cutscenes just by like letting my curiosity be my guide. And I think that was a really cool way for them to do something.
I mean, you can always just pull up that map track and just see where you haven't been in that game yet.
That wasn't even out when I did it.
I'm post DLC. I always joke that like when I die, and if this was Breath of the Wild in real life, that you would just see me go back and forth the 405 freeway to and from LA. That's all you would see.
Oh, man, that's funny. Yeah, good comment, Mark Albert. I appreciate it. Benjamin Aquino says, nice YouTube topic. I will also share with you my rankings from best to worst order. Breath of the Wild, number 1. Link to the Past, Hyrule Warriors, Link's Awakening.
How dare you have Hyrule Warriors?
The Legend of Zelda, and Zelda 2. I cannot rank Cadence of Hyrule's as I have not played it. I would like to play it at some point. However, the only rhythm game that I really enjoyed over my vast gaming experience has been the Theater Rhythm Final Fantasy and Theater Rhythm Final Fantasy Curtain Call. Probably said that wrong, but here we go.
I think that's how you say
cool.
it.
Dope. We're doing things. Good job, y'all. With that said, I have a feeling that Cadence of Hyrule will end up being on that a little lackluster for me, he said. My question to you is, have you played theater rhythm games at all? There's a Dragon Quest version that released in Japan. My main reason to ask this question is if you think that specific style of rhythm game would work for The Legend of Zelda, and if you personally would play it. In answer to your question, I think Breath of the Wild 2 will rank number 2. I'm not sure it will outdo the original, but I think it has the potential to be very close. Also, Zelda better be playable.
True. That's a fact. I never played a theater rhythm game because I'm not a huge Final Fantasy fan. So I was like, I don't even want to play the regular Final Fantasy. Why would I play the rhythm? But
I've obviously played them so much that I have forgotten even how to say them.
Yes.
No, I've never even heard of this.
If they did like a Pokemon one or Zelda, I would try it. Sure.
Mm-hmm. I played the first one. I think it was on 3DS. I think it would work. I think the only thing you would need to do with that is just have an iconic soundtrack, and Zelda has one. So, I mean, I feel like you could put this on anything. What
kind of what's the gameplay of those games exactly?
Think like music reaction with notes, but then the way it's displayed is more I would describe it like the frets on a guitar.
Okay.
So it's like a Guitar Hero game.
Kinda. I think that it's vertical there. In this game, it's horizontal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But I mean, it's basically tap the note when the note comes up.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right for that kind of thing. As long as the songs are interesting enough, that's the main thing. And then at that point, pretty much anything can work with that, because it's just the gameplay part of it is reflexes and music, but probably a little bit more reflexes than specifically music. But yeah, I mean, I could see that definitely working for Legend of Zelda in that case. On the Breath of the Wild 2 thing, what do you think, Luis? Do you think it'll outrank Breath of the Wild 1?
See, I'm conflicted because my favorite Mario game, I go back on whether it's Galaxy 1 or 2. And it's I love Galaxy, but maybe I should say 2 because it's Galaxy with more stuff pretty much. But then it doesn't have that wow factor of it being this is the first time I ever played a Galaxy game. Yep. So it's hard. And also, I don't know what Breath of the Wild 2 is going to be like. I know it's probably going to use the same engine, but it could be a completely different game.
Yeah.
Also, I want to call out Solas, Mark, and Benjamin. Y'all forgot Link's crossbow training. It was best game ever made. Y'all real messed up. Not pulling up the best Zelda game. I'm real disappointed in you guys.
They didn't put that in there because that wasn't in the video. This was specifically, obviously, because of course it's the best one.
Y'all bring up Hyrule Warriors and forget crossbow training. How dare you?
Because that's on Switch. It's the ones that are specifically on Switch.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Okay. Crossbow training is too great.
Just put the Switch underneath the Wii.
Switch doesn't deserve it yet. But yeah, I think that it really depends on the person, and it depends on what they do with it. If they add dungeons to Breath of the Wild 2, that's going to make it better to so many people.
But it could also make it worse for some other people.
I was just about to say, it could potentially make it worse for me. But if they do what it looks like they might do and put Zelda in it and make it co-op, best game.
I mean, I feel like if all they did to it was just do another similar Breath of the Wild game, but they made the narrative a bit more intriguing and captivating, I think that'd be enough for me for it to put
honestly,
it over.
Same. Yeah, exactly. And Zelda being playable would be amazing. I 100% am for that. Definitely like better narrative kind of thing would be awesome, because at this point, like, the mechanics are already kind of there, like, you know what those are. They also didn't have to spend as much time on those. Like, at this point they can leave in the basic ones that are there, and then, you know, put their time in different places and stuff. I mean, your comment with Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 is like, that kind of thing is tricky, because it's like, really the wow factor the first time you play something is like, that's a significant part of something. So, you know, just if a game is mechanically better, I don't know if that's always necessarily going to mean that it's like a better game emotionally to you or something like that. But at the same time, like, well, if it's just pure empirical stuff, you know, so that's hard to answer.
Yeah, I think something important too is that, I mean, despite there being like Galaxy 1 and 2, they kind of just like erased the story in 1, despite there not being a strong story to begin with. With Breath of the Wild 1, I think its story was one of the weaker aspects of that game, but I mean, this is, besides what, Zelda 1 and then Zelda 2, like, this is a direct follow-up that obviously is more than just like, hey, we're doing the same style of game, but this is directly like continuing the story. So I think that's really important to denote there too, that it's not just like, hey, obviously a lot of copies were sold of this game, so we're going to make another one, but it's like, hey, this is chapter 2 of this game.
I mean, like Majora's Mask kind of thing too, I guess, where like, you know, that, I mean, it's sort of like a little bit Link's Awakening and the Oracle games, I think, are technically the same Link as Link to the Past one, but it's like, those stories aren't really connected, you know, like Link's Awakening, the most connected it could be is like, and then after he did all this stuff in Link to the Past, he went sailing, and then all of a sudden Link's Awakening happened. Like, that's not a continuation, that's just, you know, like, I don't know, something else. But yeah, if they really do continue that well, that would be super cool. Jordan DeBest says, I'm bad at Zelda games because I always get stuck on what I'm supposed to do next. I would wander
Ocarina Jordan, I'm sorry.
I would wander Ocarina of Time aimlessly for hours until I just stopped playing it. With Breath of the Wild, I can just about do whatever, and it's not a problem. I 100% agree with Zelda games shouldn't hold your hand, but at least provide context clues. Besides the fetch quest in Link's Awakening, it does a great job at providing context clues.
I think I highly agree with that. It's like a game that doesn't hold your hand, but it's like nudges you in the right direction when you need it.
Yeah. Honestly, having the phone booth, I think, is a really good, like, somewhere that, you know, you can go to ask. Similar example, Mario Odyssey. I got all the moons and all the coins and stuff. I had to look up maybe like 4 of the moons and like, I don't know, maybe like 12 of the purple coins, you know, across all the kingdoms combined. But most of that I didn't have to look up, and that's not because like I'm just like so brilliant at it, I figured out all the places by myself, but some of the I would just exhaust my in-game resources first of going to I'd go first to the parrot, who gives you like, here's just the name of the moon, and then from there, like, that's still kind of a riddle, so it's still like in game, it feels good to like have figured it out. And then from that, if I couldn't figure it out, I'd go to whatever the next thing is, where it'd give you the location, but sometimes still that wasn't like that didn't actually
not exact. It's like something that points you in a different direction.
Yeah. So that kind of thing. Like, it's nice to have in-game places you can go where it's like, okay, I've come to the end of my resources that are super obvious. Now, like, let me go to the place, like the guy in the game that can give me a hint. Yeah. Because it's like, it feels a bit deflating when you get to, you know, when you look something up because you feel like, well, I just can't figure it out. And it was like, it was just right there the whole time, like it was obvious. Or it's just as annoying if it's like, that wasn't obvious at all. So having the game provide some of that is very good.
Agreed.
Indeed.
And then let's talk Parker's video. Fill me in, Parker. What'd you do?
Let's do it. Yeah, so pretty straightforward. We just taled about all the games that are coming out in October. So there you go. There's some games coming out in October. Video. It honestly, because everybody, I mean, I talked about this in the intro, but like everybody was talking about like so many games coming up in September, which is absolutely true. But then all of a sudden, like, there's all these games coming out in October too that just snuck out there. So we talked about
holiday just in general is stacked. But there's
I miss
so many
January.
games.
There's like nothing but Capcom games.
Yeah, pretty much. So we got some comments here. Sailor Mercury says, I dislike how overpriced some of these Switch games are, especially the ports. There's no reason for Resident Evil 5 and 6 to be $30 each, considering they're over a decade old and regularly go down to $8 each on the PSN store. Nintendo needs to rethink their pricing for eShop. It turns me off from buying as many games as I do on their platforms.
On
other platforms, thank you.
That's more of a Capcom thing, though. I don't think that's Nintendo.
Yeah. It's not like Nintendo mandates, like, our games must cost more.
But also Nintendo just put out Link's Awakening for $60.
That's true.
Yeah. But I think that it's less like how people think pricing should be determined is different from how companies think they should.
Yeah.
Vastly. Because people think just because, like, it's a correlation thing. It's like, oh, well, it's cheaper on PlayStation, so that means that they feel like since time has passed, it should be cheaper. But really, sales have slowed, so they're like, hey, we want sales to pick back up, and in order to do that, we got to make it cheaper to incentivize people to start buying it again. That doesn't really happen as often with Nintendo properties, so that's why Nintendo games are usually more expensive. Like, last year, they sold like 100,000 copies of a Wii game that came out in freaking 2011. You know, like, as much as people complain about Nintendo prices, they're not really doing much to change how they operate. You know, like, you're still going to buy it.
Yeah,
so
and then
that's why.
over the years, the price of like games being made has gone up, but like we've stayed at $60 since like the GameCube era.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I mean, that's why you're seeing all these like service incentives and DLC, and even like Nintendo, where they put out DLC for some games. Like Splatoon had free quote unquote DLC or updates for like years, both on 1 and 2. And I think like their main exception is Smash Brothers, where they have DLC, but that's pretty much become like a service game where like you were just actively paying another like $5 to $10 every 5-6 months just for like a new character.
Right.
I think, I was going to say something specific and it'll come back to me, but I think the big picture is, okay, I just remembered. So like, I mean, even with the Disney Vault, that whole thing, it's the fact that they bring it back out, people come in droves to buy the thing, and then they put it back away, and then the next time they bring it back out, people come in droves to buy the thing. It's like, okay, yeah, we should keep doing this. And so I think similarly, it's really a supply demand kind of thing. Well, I guess less supply, but it's, you know, really the question the companies ask themselves is how much are people willing to spend on such and such thing in this location or whatever. So I think, I mean, like you guys said too, you know, once something has been around for a while, people are going to want to pay less for it. So it's interesting to me anyway that Sony, for a lot of their first party games, that they do, you know, lessen their prices as quickly as they do. But obviously they see a need for it, or, you know, whatever.
It's because it's a sales thing. Like, if you look at the sales trajectory for Horizon Zero Dawn that launched around the same time that Breath of the Wild did, Breath of the Wild was destroying it. And this is on the Wii U, and at the time a new platform, the Switch, that had a fraction of the install base. But once they started lowering it, and by the end of the year, it was like under $20 that you could buy this game with the DLC.
I think I saw somewhere recently it was like complete edition for $9 or $12 or something like that. And I was like, all right, that's awesome. Like, that's a great deal. But
I think the difference is like you go up to the street and you show like somebody a picture of Mario, whether they're gaming or not, like they know who Mario is. You show a picture of Adlo, you're like, who the hell is that?
Exactly.
So yeah, I think all that, and I mean, Luis, like you said too, this is a Capcom decision. They've done this on all of their games at this point, so it's you know, it does suck because it makes it feel probably to somebody like Sailor Mercury, you know, maybe it feels like it's like Nintendo screwed me over because, you know, all their games are more expensive on here, but a lot of those really are just like on a newer platform that has a more vibrant user base at this time, that's like going out and buying more kind of exploratory games compared to, you know, on right now, because the PS4 and Xbox One life cycles are kind of slowing down and dying out. People are going to buy the games that they know they want on there, but probably not going to like go and hang around and see what else is going on, because it's just, that's kind of not where the user base is right now. Whereas on the Switch, that's more the case. People will just go to the eShop and be like, well, let's see what's up. And so, you know, you're just going to get more sales.
Switch is what, not even 3 years old at this point, and to further the fact, they've actually started doing that like basically voucher thing where it's like buy two get one free. So like they're offering pretty good deals too. PS4 and Xbox One are both going to die by the end of next year anyway.
Yeah.
So different cycle.
Yep, absolutely. David Cronk says the game, which first of all, if that's your last name, it just reminds me of Emperor's New Groove, and I like that a lot. So
pastries.
Squeak, that guy. Good old Patrick Warburton.
Spinach puffs.
Spinach puffs, etc. All right, moving along. David Cronk says he probably gets that a lot. I'm sure he hates that. The game I bought a Switch for is coming in October. I do love all my Nintendo games, both Switch and older consoles, but I was a bit disappointed that Luigi's Mansion 2 was only on DS and I never had one. The first was my favorite GameCube game, and I'm very excited to see what 3 will be like.
That is interesting.
Yes, agreed.
I've never heard anyone ever say that in my life. So many people that I hear like specifically talk about Luigi's Mansions, either like, yeah, I like that game, that game's cool, or they vehemently hate it because it wasn't Mario.
I mean, I definitely know a lot of people that really like it or something. But what was interesting, especially to me about this one, was I was curious. Pokemon, huge system seller this holiday, and Link's Awakening, it's a Zelda, so like even with the kind of controversy around of like should it be $60, blah blah blah, like still a system seller. It's a Zelda game.
It's Breath of the Wild adjacent.
Yes, right.
So it's like, oh, that looks like the same character of that other game.
Right.
Like,
and there's and there's Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey. Like there's a lot of backlog of games that people at this point would be like, all right, it's been around for a while, I'll get a Switch. I was curious for a while though, like, is Luigi's Mansion a system seller type game? Like, will people buy a Switch for Luigi's Mansion? Because I just don't know. Like a lot of people are very excited about it. So this comment was really interesting on that front to me. Yeah,
the Luigi's Mansions games, at least on the GameCube, I don't think it sold that well. It did better on 3DS. Pulling that up right now.
All right. In the meantime, David, I got some hardcore math for you. I'm assuming the game he was talking about that he's waiting for Switch is Luigi's Mansion 3. Go get a used 2DS at GameStop. Support your local GameStop. They're dying. Go buy a used 2DS for like $30. Go get Luigi's Mansion Nintendo Select Dark Moon for $20, and then go get Luigi's Mansion the remake on 3DS for like $30. That's like $70. It's like after taxes, that's what the Switch game would have cost. You got yourself a whole system and 2 games. You're welcome, dude. Next question.
Is it really just $30 for a used?
Yes.
I see Dark Moon.
Is that a 2DS?
I pulled it up on my phone right now. You can get Dark Moon at GameStop for $20 new. You can get the remake for about $20 used. A 3DS or a 2DS original costs like $30 at most, $40.
Yeah,
you're spending like $70 at most, and after taxes, a Switch game costs like $65. Like
Yeah.
You're welcome. Go get yourself a 2DS.
Look at that math. Good
I'm
stuff.
using that business degree.
So the sales numbers for Dark Moon were over 4 million.
Okay. It can be 4 million in one, dude. Go get this game.
It's pretty decent.
Yeah.
Go play Kart Wheel too. That game's amazing. Not enough people played that game.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see a lot of that stuff coming up in, because it seems like it's got, I mentioned this in the video, but like in thinking about Luigi's Mansion 3, it seems like it has the single player kind of like more long form focus of the first game in terms of the single player, but then has kind of the, more short burst type gameplay in the multiplayer stuff as well, and also just the multiplayer itself in there. So like that's cool that it's bringing both of those things together, in one place.
Exactly. It kind of looks like it's mixing up that Dark Moon, like the gameplay evolution, while still keeping I would say the mansion design of like having themes and of that nature in the first game.
Which it looks so good too. Just like visually, it's just cute and beautiful. Yeah,
I played it back at E3 for like 30 minutes, and it's just like there's a lot of personality and character to not just like Luigi himself, but like the world design.
Yep, that's great stuff. Max Wright, our good bud over at Lootpots. Go check out lootpots.com. and whatnot. Says, Parker, my good friend, you have outdone yourself this week. I laughed, I learned, I spooped my pants at the terrifying onslaught of Scary Month games. Kudos. I just like that he used spooped my pants because that made me laugh. So
you'd be using that one next
like
review.
I like that he said Scary Month because that was the thing on this podcast.
That's
for a while.
true. You're so right.
They picked our Scary Month.
It is our Scary Month. And then he said, I like to think Nintendo are leaving the end of November to middle of January open for people to catch up on their backlogs. But truly, consumerism has caught up with us all when we're desperately scrambling for Nintendo to stop releasing games so that we can buy more games. Agreed.
I mean, yeah, that's a mood. I think
Yes.
That's a mood. I like it.
I think my December will be primarily just beating Persona 5 Royale because I'm importing it next month, and that's like an 80-hour game I'm going to have to like work my way through.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's
I should clarify. That's the Japanese version. It's not coming out here for like till spring, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Learn Japanese.
Yeah, and that'll be
it's worth it.
especially, and in, a third language at that point? That's, that'll be...
Yeah, English, Spanish, and
lot of
Japanese.
languages.
Worth it, man. Go get yourself Persona 5 early.
Nice. I would just be sitting on the
Just
title
getting
screen looking
everybody
at it like,
games.
that's
you know
right.
What? Buy Luigi's Mansion, buy Persona 5, Royale or Royal. It's Royal.
Keep tweeting
It's
Atlas
Royal.
to put that thing on Switch, please.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, do that because it's the only way that I will ever play
That
that
is
game.
true.
I have a PlayStation.
So many
but I don't
people
wanna
tell
play
me that. I'm
RPG
like
on
real
that.
mad. Persona 5 is freaking fantastic.
I don't want to play a game like that on the TV. I just
All right, go
don't.
get yourself a PlayStation Vita, remote play that thing. There you go.
I had a Vita, but like,
Oh my god, they can remote play this thing.
So many hurdles
it didn't work. Like the remote play didn't work well for me. And I have gigabit internet, so I was just upset, and I was like, all right, I'm not using this stupid thing anymore because like there's no reason why this shouldn't work.
Luis has all the solutions for you. Just, the things. Lizdrin has a comment, too. This is the last one for this video. And says, I'll be picking up Luigi's Mansion 3 for sure. I just wish it was coming out sooner because, well, it's Halloween and I got a Switch to do. As a big fan of Pokemon, and then separately, as big a fan of Pokemon as I am, I'm going to pass on Little Town Hero at least until after the month is over and I can get some solid reviews from trusted sources.
Check out Luis's review on Little Town Hero.
I guess I gotta review that now.
I don't really want to play Little Town Hero, but I feel obligated to. So I'm probably going to check it out.
I'm like hearing my thoughts out loud right now as I hear you. It's like, I don't really feel like playing it, but I think I'm gonna have to.
As I've said, I usually don't do that. But as I also established before we started recording, I do a lot of Pokemon videos, and I feel like I need to look for like things that they should do in Pokemon or things that they do here that they learn from Pokemon and do a video like that. So that'll be like the only reason why I play it, because of my love for Pokemon.
I think I'll enjoy. I mean, I might play it late. Probably a lot of these games coming out this fall, I'm just going to be playing late because I also have a full-time job and wife and all that stuff. So I don't get to play quite as much as I would sometimes like to. But I mean, I will enjoy the combat and stuff of it. I like kind of the card-based. I mean, it's not cards, but it's sort of like cards-based combat and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be fun.
No, maybe
cool.
it'll surprise you. I had no intention of playing Sushi Striker, and I kind of liked it after I played it. So
Nice. I played the demo for that, and I was like, I'm having fun, but I also don't care. It was like, I don't feel like I had it.
That's kind of probably going to be my take going into my town. But we'll see.
Good stuff.
I almost checked out the Sushi Striker, but I gave that code to both.
Nice.
I got a review copy, and I was like, I didn't know this came out
same.
this week, but okay.
Here we go.
Same. But I gave it to somebody else that used to be on this channel. Because I was like, this is more your speed. You're more excited for this game than I am.
I'm a one-man team. I don't get that.
True. True.
Yeah, we've got something like Divinity Original Sin. We got a code for that. Did you ever reach out to Larian and let them know that we talked about it? I don't know.
Oh, I do gotta do
don't worry
that.
about
Okay, I'll email them.
I'll remind you.
this.
But we got a code for that, and AJ was like, I don't know if I am going to play this game. Do you want to play it? And I was like, Sure. And
That's
man,
just a system
I've been playing
that
it.
I've developed.
It's honestly like, yeah, we have some good overlap there, so that's nice. But like, I'm looking forward to having finished some of the other games that I'm playing, so that I can get back to playing Divinity, because it's really
should
good.
just make a third Nintendo account and just redeem them there and just share the account.
We do that a little bit. We did that with Fire Emblem. Long story short, AJ will tell you the more.
Rip my Fire Emblem, rip, dude. Rip. So I was playing his Fire Emblem because like I didn't think I was gonna like that game. So I was like, I don't know, play this. I ended up liking it. So then we had to like juggle back and forth. And then I got the new Switch, with the better battery or whatever. And then when I was doing the transfer, I didn't want to like message Parker and be like, "Yo, Parker, what's your account information that I forgot? Send it to me." And I was like, "Just forget it, dude. I just want to transfer Splatoon and Pokemon and then leave." And then that's what I did. So rip my freaking 40-hour Fire Emblem.
That's right.
Did you do that thing where like you brought in your Switch to GameStop and you're like, "Hey, I'm gonna be here for the 3 hours, just sub"?
Yeah, I mean it wasn't that long. It took like maybe a half an hour.
I have a 256 gigabyte card. And I'm just like, nah, I'm not gonna do that.
Oh, I didn't download. I didn't see. Like I said, my internet's pretty fast, so I didn't bother with that. I only transferred the saves, and then I re-downloaded all my games once I got home.
Yep. Speaking of re-downloading, has nothing to do with that. We got the Q&A section, so here we go into there. So the first thing we do in the Q&A is grab a couple comments from the podcast from last week. So if you're watching on YouTube or just listening somewhere else and want to pop over to YouTube and leave a comment on the video, you can. And you can do that. And then you can say all sorts of things to Luis. And then next week he probably won't be on. And so we'll read those and somebody else will be like, okay, cool, whatever that was. Something like that. But in any case, we got a couple comments to read from last week. So here we go with them. Marky Mark said, with regards to the demo conversation, I rarely play them. I played some Pokemon 3DS demos because they gave certain unique Pokemon, but otherwise, no. I know what I like and I don't often deviate. However, I recently played about 1 hour of Dragon Quest XI-S, my first Dragon Quest game. I realized very quickly this was my jam and decided to delete the demo and wait for the game. The opposite happened with Death Eater 3, though, I think. I never played one, but I thought it looked cool. Gave it a go and realized, nope, not for me. So the Switch is introducing me to new franchises I never gave the chance to before. Funnily enough, that's the purpose of demos.
True.
What a good narrative there. Just like, there's a good little plot in the comments.
Yeah, I mean, I think if anything, the use of demos that actually transfer progression is really well done. Like, I was 10 hours ahead of my Dragon Quest playthrough because of that demo. So when I finally got my review copy, I was like, yes. I'm not like,
it's like
I have to start from the very beginning again. Yeah, exactly. Anytime I can cut corners on playthrough time, I'm happy.
Yep.
True.
I think, that's I mean, and I kind of mentioned it last week, but I think the demos really like being able to either, like, man, if you had a Dragon Quest XI demo that didn't, transfer your save over, like that would suck. So like, I think a lot of people just wouldn't buy it at that point because they'd be like, well, that's not worth it. Like, I don't want to have to play the first 10 hours again. So like, that's, that's the way to do it, all things considered. So, but I think demos are nice because it gives you an idea of like, have I had my fill from just this demo? And if so, I'm not going to play it at all. And so some of those games, that's the case. Like Mega Man 11, when that, I really haven't played any Mega Man games before. And so I played the demo, which was just that first level. And I was like, yeah, it was fun enough. I don't really want any more of it. So I'm good. Which, I feel a bit bad saying because people probably love Mega Man 11. But for me, it was just fine.
Should have been Mega Man X9, dude.
All in due time, I imagine. I don't really know. Next comment from last week is so animated. Yeah, I'm good at the words. Some dumb, crazy law makes it where you could only purchase consoles/games from one company only. Between Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony, you have to make your pick and completely destroy any accessories, games, consoles, etc. from the ones you didn't choose. Who are you going with? I choose Nintendo, of course, but would be devastated to have to destroy all my other consoles/games from the other companies. I have quite a lot.
Can I trade the other ones to GameStop?
No. Absolutely not. I don't know. Sure.
That's not cool.
I feel like putting Microsoft on here is pretty useless. They put their games on other stuff already.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, you play on PC, or as of lately, play Ori on Switch. Watch my review on my channel.
That's right. Hey, watch the review on his channel.
Link in the description. Also, then
I feel like this is more like a Sony or Nintendo question.
This is a very easy question for me. I'll go ahead and
this law
already
applies
exists,
to him.
and we've already taken care of it. That should answer it for you. Yeah, I haven't even put enough money to get other consoles, so I've just got a Switch and a Wii and GameCube and 3DS stuff. So like, I don't even have any other consoles at the moment. So look at that. Oh, so animated. You already did it to the past.
I mean, it's also an easy one for me, even though I already have the other consoles, because I don't play. Like I have this whole setup going on, and there's limited desk space, and I wanted to have the TV in a position that makes it easier for me to stream, which means I had to move my PlayStation or my Xbox. And I was like, well, I use my Xbox to stream Minecraft, so PlayStation, you got to go up there, one of those shelves. So rip, dude, rip.
Indeed.
I take my PlayStation out every once in a while. Like, no, never mind. I was about to say I'll probably play Death Stranding, but then I realized I'm not going to play it. Not going to do it.
Yeah. What about you, Luis?
The Last of Us.
That's tough.
You probably have the hardest time of us.
Yeah. I play a bit of everything, so I'm like, I don't stick to one console very much. That's tough. I'm trying to think of like my favorite games of this year. I'm like, do I like my PS4 exclusives or my Switch? I feel like I would go Nintendo just because they really pick up the pace with the Switch. If we were back like on the Wii U, 360, PS3 era, would have gone PlayStation. Like, no
100%.
doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe my answer will change post Death Stranding and Last of Us 2. But as of right now, Nintendo Switch, just because. What's the last PlayStation exclusive I played? I think it was like Days Gone, and that game kind of sucked. And then before that was Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man, but like it was so long ago. I feel like it's been a good minute since I played like a PlayStation exclusive where I'm like, wow, everyone should play this game.
Did Spider-Man come out like this time last year?
It was either last year or May. Was it last year?
Yeah, it was last year. It was September 4th or something like that, I think, of last year.
Yeah, so
that was the last time I played my PlayStation for any prolonged period of time. And you know how they do it, like at the end of the year, they're like, you played this much time or whatever, right?
Yeah.
They're like, you played 20 hours of your PlayStation this year. All of that was Spider-Man. No, like 5 hours of that was like Red Dead Redemption.
Oh, yeah, right.
I feel like this year all I did was play Days Gone. Like, what other exclusive came out on it? That game kind of sucked.
I think that might really be it that I can think of, at least. I mean, I don't have a PlayStation, so I guess. But that I can think of, that might be it.
Yeah, like, I mean, there we go. I'd play my Switch.
So there it is. Everybody's PlayStation gets exploded.
Sorry, even my third party, I'm playing it on my Xbox One X, so like, even like, I'm sorry, Pro, like...
Last comment from last week. GPMPO says some more things. Number one, I'm still sorry about Parker needing to read my name. However, the level of sorrow I feel is relatively small compared to the level of amusement I experienced. Agreed. I'm with you there. It's still fun. Number two, what do you guys think vegetarians are like in the Pokemon world?
Insufferable.
Because we were talking about the context, Luis. We were talking about how like humans eat Pokemon in the Pokemon world. Like that's just the way it is. So what do we think vegetarians are like? Do
vegetarians eat grass type Pokemon is the question.
Right. I mean, probably not, because not a lot of them are like food based. I mean, some of them are, but like Oddish, for example.
Some of them just straight up are. Like Execute.
I'm pretty sure there's like, isn't there like a cabbage Pokemon?
Yeah, and like Tropius, he has bananas on his neck.
Is that eating the animal? Does the banana become another one?
Probably not, because like there's I mean, that's a great question, but like Eldegoss or Alcremie or something like that. Like there's I mean, it seems to me, at least based on the anime, there's enough fruits and vegetables in the world that you could. Maybe that would be the difference between being a vegetarian and a vegan. So a vegetarian would still maybe eat some Pokemon-related fruits and veggies or whatever. But then a vegan would be like, nope, none of that Pokemon stuff. I'm just like not even Miltank milk, Moo Moo milk or whatever.
I'm sorry. If I'm in the Pokemon world, I'm eating Magikarp all the time, man. I'm sorry.
I mean, come on, that's what's up. And then the last one is AJ is. We're not going to go into this one. We're just going to read it and move along. Number 3, AJ is right about the pears. The question to does Parker like pears is yes. Parker saying that any given pear has a low likelihood of him enjoying it is a valid statement, but the answer to a different question.
This is true.
So I mean, that's
all I'm saying.
If it was just a pure yes or no answer, then yeah, probably I think you're right. So we'll go with that.
Yep.
Luis is like, what in the world are we talking? Okay, so now we're on to questions from this week. These are a couple different places you can do this. YouTube community, we ask there, we ask on Twitter, and we ask on Discord. You can ask questions any of those places, and then we talk about them, and it's grand and fun and wonderful. Edwin Valenzuela says, have you guys noticed the icon on the bottom left of the home screen for playing in handheld mode on the OG Switch looks exactly like the Switch Lite? The Joy-Cons are clearly attached. The Switch Lite was leaked, and we didn't even know it. By the way, I own a regular Switch and picked up the Switch Lite as well as a consumer. I think the price is... Picked up the Switch Lite as well. As a consumer, I think the price point is perfect for what it provides and is pretty darn comfortable compared to the OG Switch.
I can't speak to how comfortable it is, but I do think that's a really good price point. It's definitely in that price range that's like, I just randomly might buy somebody else's Switch and say, hey, I want you to play Switch here.
And obviously they're not opposed to, I think, having sales on it. Like, I think they priced it at a perfect point where it's like just out at, like, some people are like, $200, that's still a little bit steep, whatever. And then it goes on sale for literally any amount. If it goes on sale for 1% off, it's under $200 and feels like, all right, cool, yeah, I'll do it for $197.
It's technically $199 right now, so it's
that's
already
true. It already is. You're right.
That's true.
I would say you can probably find a deal on it because the 1S or the Xbox One S is technically $250, but like I've only ever seen it at like $190 with like a copy of Minecraft. So I mean, even if it doesn't go on sale, they'll probably attach some game to it for the holiday, and that's like what, $60 saved. That's already a good deal. A reminder: the 3DS launched at $250. So put that into perspective.
True.
Yeah, I agree.
And they're trying to, like, the whole point of the Switch Lite is that they're trying to get to the point where they replace that part of their market, where it becomes the, like, impulse buy for the parent that wants to get their kid a console.
Man, it's the impulse buy for, like, the 24-year-old YouTuber who doesn't need one right now.
True.
I mean, Luis, like you said earlier, too, this holiday is going to be a huge boon for, like, right now everybody's buying it for themselves, but honestly, I mean, I've said this before on here, but I think its biggest sell is going to be people that are buying it for other people. Like, that's going to be where a lot of its sales come from. Maybe not most of them, but a significant portion, more so than probably the original Switch, I think.
I mean, if we're counting parents buying them for kids, it's probably going to be most of them.
That's true. So it'll be, I mean, or just people buying them for their friends or family or something like that. Like, holiday season is going to be real strong for the Switch Lite specifically.
I just want the Pokemon one, but like, I really don't like. If that would be a bad decision because I'll probably never play it. But I just want it because it's Pokemon.
I mean, yeah, maybe, but then again, like, probably that's one that'll, because it's the first special edition. Maybe it'll go on, like, be the most prevalent and then go pretty cheap down the road or something like that, and then you can just get it as a collector thing. I don't know, who's to say.
Let me just ask, if you were to get a Lite this year, what happens if the Pro Kit's announced this time, like spring next year?
Then I'm also gonna buy that.
All right.
There you go. Yep. F-Zero Kid, also known as Falcon, says, okay, so since school started back, we're gonna stay with the classic. This is the third week in a row that Falcon has posted a recipe in the comments, and I love it. The other times you didn't read them because they were too long, but here we go. This one's real short. You'll need 1 bowl, 1 spoon, milk, whichever you prefer. I like almond milk. Cereal, Rice Krispies Treat cereal is the sleeper goat. Pour cereal in bowl, pour milk on top of cereal. Enjoy. #FanaticFoods. So there you go. There's that. It's it's a grand old time. Okay, moving right along. These are more questions. Here we go into them. From Twitter, Max Wright from Lootpots, our good buddy, says, Nintendo just turned 130. Happy birthday, Mario. As we know, they have always been good at changing and adapting to keep themselves relevant. What do you guys see for the future of Nintendo hardware/software for next generation and beyond?
I think they're just going to do Switch again, but better.
Luis, what do you think?
I would think Nintendo Switch is not, just the next device. I think it's a platform, very much like the DS was. You saw DS Original, DS Lite, DSi, DSi XL. If you want to argue it, 3DS, because 3DS could play DS games. 3D,
Right.
you know, that thing's been a thing for well over a decade already. I feel like that's what Switch is going to be. You'll probably just see, you know, iterations that slightly improve on the actual tablet part, and then my guess would be that you get docks with the GPUs inside that use the same tech you would use on a laptop with an external GPU.
I'm totally with you there. I mean, even looking back at their back catalog, pretty much every console they've had, the next one, you could kind of argue is just an iteration on the first. So like the NES and then the Super NES, like that's just a beefed up NES, you know, in that sense, kind of. And then like N64 to GameCube, a little bit less so, but same, I guess, kind of idea maybe. Where that whole line, all four of those are just pretty much standard consoles. But then like Wii into Wii U, those were very much supposed to be branched off the same kind of idea.
But then they got like confused.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, everyone else did. That's what no one bought it.
Yeah, but you know, it's like it's kind of iterating on the same idea. And all things considered, the Switch is sort of iterating off the Wii U, like what they were trying to do. But it still stood apart. Where I think now they've struck gold with this. I think their next console at least is going to be very much like DS to 3DS kind of transition, where it's like just more of the same but better. You know.
I'm calling it now. Right. It's not going to be called Pro. It's going to be called Nintendo Switch I. It's going to follow the same
Honestly,
DS name structure.
That would be wild if it was I. I just think it's going to be the new Nintendo Switch, or potentially like the Super Nintendo Switch or something like that.
Okay.
I'd like Super Nintendo Switch.
Yes, I totally. I guess it's a question of whether if they come out with Nintendo Switch Pro, then that's an iteration of the Switch, more so, more like the new 3DS XL was. Whereas if they come out with Super Nintendo Switch, that would be the 3DS to the DS. Would be my sort of guess, but.
Yeah, that's more so what I'm talking about. I don't know if Nintendo, I don't know. They're doing a lot of weird stuff, but I don't know if they would do like a PlayStation 4 Pro, like Xbox One X,
like a midlife revision, mid-gen refresh kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know. The interesting part of this question too, I mean, and it's hard to say, but Max also asks for next gen and beyond. So like, all things considered, they are really good at adapting, but we don't know what the climate's going to be like for them to adapt to.
They're going to make a phone.
Yep.
Ultimately.
There you go.
I mean, their hardware is very dependent on NVIDIA right now anyway. So it's like whatever NVIDIA can put out this time next year and then a few years after that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they did say something like they expect their relationship to last at least the next 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Yep. I'm very excited for it. All things considered, it should be real fun. Falcon, next question, asks, what's your favorite way to eat potatoes? Fried, baked, mashed, boiled, salad? Hashtag fanatixfoods.
Fried.
Fried. That was like out of nowhere. I really had to think about it.
I've got a bit of backstory on this. So, of course we do. Come on, this is where are we now? So fried, yes. I lived in Belgium for Striker XL. What's up? Oh, I'll be back in Belgium next week. That'll be fun. But I lived in Belgium for 6 years, and French fries are originally from Belgium. Here's the story about why they call it French fries, though. Here you go, a little bit of a lesson for today. Apparently, American soldiers were in Belgium, where half the country speaks French. Like, that's the country was made up because part of the Netherlands and part of France were like, man, our country sucked because of religion being different than we want it to be. And then they're like,
we can't play Hero in Smash Brothers. Oh no, let's eat potatoes.
They were so ahead of the times. They just got it. Oh man. So in any case, they had French fries. They had fries, frites, in any case, while they were in Belgium, and they heard people speaking French, and they're like, pretty sure this is France. And then they brought it back to like, look at these French fries. And all the Belgians were obviously like, dude, that was our thing. You kidding me? So that was more or less how that happened. I think it was during World War I. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong.
I think somebody was probably like, they're like, what? They're Belgian fries. And it's like, yeah, but that's not alliteration.
It's not
Get that
at
out
all.
of my face.
Freedom fries? Just go back to French. It'll work. Was freedom fries a thing where you guys were at back in like 2004?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, man. Okay,
Was
so
it
in
an East Coast
Virginia...
thing?
There were a ton of things in Virginia. At least I was there 2002 to 2004, and a bunch of things that were French, like French toast, French fries, I guess French bread, I don't know, but definitely French toast and French fries. They decided to call them freedom fries and freedom toast because it was when France wouldn't go into Iraq with us or something like that. So they were mad at France, so they called them freedom fries. And you'd see them like on signs driving around, like McDonald's would be like, freedom fries.
That's like, tell friends.
I was too young, I was just too hyped for Nintendo Revolution at the time. Just like these fries.
Man. All right, moving along. Bianca Wicks asks, if Comic Zone was made as an indie pixel art game today instead of the 90s when it got overshadowed by other great Genesis titles, would it have been better recognized or better received / gotten a sequel?
WayForward would be all over that. I feel like they could easily just remake that right now.
Yeah, no, seriously. All things considered, I read this question ahead of time, and I don't know if I've heard of Comic Zone, but I've never seen. I'm looking it up to see what it actually looks like.
I literally just did that, where it's like I had a Sega Genesis, but it was not one of the games that I played. But I do know this.
It was like Madden 90s, you have it. You don't know how you got it. It's there though.
Yeah.
Okay, so the idea is it just looks like a comic, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, I think it's a pixel art comic, and it has like speech bubbles and a bunch of stuff like that. Like the art style is very much a comic panel.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it looks cool. Again, like I said, I don't know very much about it, but like that's dope. But yeah, 100%.
This is what they're going to do. They're going to do the Comic Zone cinematic universe, and then they're going to do video games for it. You heard it here first.
I mean, just looking at screenshots of it now, I feel like what comes to mind is like DuckTales Remastered, like that art style applied to that.
I could definitely see that. I mean, I think, absolutely. If it did, I didn't even know that it got overshadowed because, like, I've heard people talking about it, so I figured, like, oh, that must have been a pretty
was it on that Genesis Classic Mini thing?
Oh, was it? Wait, it was or it wasn't on the Genesis Classic Mini?
I have no idea. I did not get it. But I mean, if it's on there, then hey, people must have played it, and if it's not on there, I'm sorry.
Very true. There were some weird game, like on, I don't know specifically about the lineup for the Genesis Mini. I mean, I heard people talking about it when it was announced, but I've forgotten since then. But it is interesting, like with even the Nintendo, the NES Classic and SNES Classic, like what games they didn't put on there, like Chrono Trigger kind of stuff, but then they did put on other ones. Like, it's very interesting. But yeah, all things considered, I think you're right. Like WayForward or somebody like that these days would have a field day with that, and it would be great.
It's on iOS today.
Is it?
Yes.
Next comment or next question from BLR really or BLRY.
I think it's blurry.
Blurry. You're probably right. Blurry asks, why do you think Overwatch on Switch is locked at 30 frames per second and not 60, considering Paladins runs at 60 and is pretty much on par graphically with Overwatch? And why is Luis such a handsome mofo?
I did not read that part.
It's in the genes, I guess.
And by that part, he means the question above.
Right. He knew 100% about that. The bottom part.
I don't know. I think Paladins, the developer, what, Hi-Res Studios or something like that, I think they just cared more. Honestly, I think they wanted to beat them to the punch and be like, hey, we're the Overwatch for this platform. And then Blizzard was like, but nah, though, we're the Overwatch on this platform. And then maybe eventually they'll get it to 60, but just to get out the door.
I guess it'd be like the maps, maybe like the character designs. Like I reviewed Paladins, and it's like, it plays like Overwatch, but I think it's more simplified looking than Overwatch. I mean, who knows? Maybe it's like, because there's more game modes, I think, in Overwatch that require more action. So it's probably more just like hey, we don't want one mode that runs 60 and then like a bigger mode that runs at 30.
That's true.
But I haven't played the thing, so who knows? It could be something I would know once I play the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll wait for the Digital Foundry video.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot that's out like in a month, less than a month at this point.
Yeah.
October 15th. That's
Retro 3 too.
Yep, same day. That day is going to be just explode.
So much stuff. So much stuff. Dude.
Yeah, great question. We'll find out, all things considered. Pete and Bessie asked, for AJ, why is blue the best tunic choice in Link's Awakening? Spoiler alert, style. And he said, I see Luis is a man of culture too. Let me know if you want to come on the podcast sometime and talk about Hyrulean fashion. And
what
then
does he
said,
mean by man of culture?
I don't know, but you know who obviously isn't a man of culture? Yours truly.
He means because you liked the tweet that he said that, so he assumed that you agreed with it what he said.
Oh, I do agree. You know, blue's the best color. That's why it's the colors on my Joy-Con. And it's why you should be getting the turquoise Switch Lite.
I saw footage with them in those color tunics, but I don't know where to get them. I just realized, like, I don't have...
What?
Yeah.
Didn't you play this stupid game? No, it's in the color dungeon.
Oh, okay. I obviously didn't find the color dungeon yet.
Well, go find the color dungeon and then beat it and then pick blue.
100% I'm going to pick blue. I'm not dumb. I mean...
Yeah, that was actually a bonus thing. Because they re-released Awakening as a Game Boy colored game with DX, and that was like the bonus thing. Mm-hmm. That was also now on the Switch version.
I need to find it.
Right.
I'm so dumb.
Yes.
But yeah, there you go.
Blue,
sorry that not everybody's a man of culture, Pete. I'm sorry that I have failed you in such a miserable way. But here we go. Dat Dude, also so animated, same person, said, favorite snack to eat while gaming? Also, why am I so great? Also, favorite cartoon growing up? And that's all I got.
Okay, first question. I don't know. I don't usually eat when I'm playing games. Same. I drink like juice or something.
I'll drink coffee because I gotta stay awake to play these JRPGs, you know?
That's true. Mostly I care more about having a good beverage of some sort, which, I mean, I don't know, water, sometimes soda, kinds of things. But snacking while I play, like, I don't really think about that most of the time. I think also a lot of the times just with my schedule, I'll just like be like, I'm gonna play some games now, as opposed to tomorrow I'm going to dedicatedly sit down for a while and like have a gaming session, quote unquote. Like I don't really have a chance to do that a whole lot, so I don't really prepare snacks so much as just like I'm just going to eat something if I want to eat something.
Yeah.
Why am I so great?
Okay, so I think context for this is long time ago, like when this channel first started, it was around when Pokemon Tournament came out, and he was like playing this game, and I was like, yo, I'll freaking, because he was a subscriber around that time, and I was like, yo, I'll freaking play Pokemon Tournament on your stream, and I destroyed him.
Nice.
So then when Smash Bros was coming out, he was like, yo, it's like I'm about to spec everybody in this blah blah, and I replied, and I was like, and I put like the eyeball emojis, and he was like, yo, that's a different game, it doesn't count. So fast forward to Smash Bros coming out, I destroyed him. So then he was talking about Pokemon coming out. He's like, yo, all my followers about to like catch these hands or whatever, right? And then I put the eye emojis again, and then that's where that came from, where he was like, yo, I'm hitting the lab in Smash Brothers, you're not going to beat me again, blah, blah, all this crap. So that's where that came from.
There you go.
He's delusional.
Okay. We'll see how it'll go. So favorite cartoon growing up?
Favorite cartoon. You guys go first because I have to think about this.
Man, it's hard. There's so many good ones. I mean,
so
Pokemon anime is
age range. I feel like I'm still growing up.
Yeah, hey, you're not wrong. Yeah, I'm just gonna list off a whole bunch and like not whatever. Obviously Pokemon anime, but then also Hey Arnold, Dexter's Lab, Fairly Odd Parents. Powerpuff Girls are pretty great. Those are the first ones that come to mind. There's lots more. A couple French cartoons.
It depends on like what period. Because like when I was younger, I liked Rugrats. Rugrats was dope. When I was like 6.
Rugrats still dope.
Yeah, but like all grown up.
Okay, maybe not so dope. Okay, you know.
Right. So that's why I'm saying like specific age group, like age period. Because like as I got older, that was the thing that was on TV. So yeah, like that one's not dope. Another show that I liked around that age was they had, it had the 2 different Sonic the Hedgehog cartoons.
Sonic,
sure.
X or Sonic, Underground?
No, that's just before Sonic
Underground
X.
And that
Sonic,
other one.
Yeah, it was like Sonic Sad AM or whatever, and then it was like Underground. The Saturday morning cartoon one was the one I liked. That one was dope. The other one was like too much like the Sonic like edgy fan base. That's the beginnings of that. I was like, I don't really like that one that much, but the other one is fun.
All right, I feel like I gotta reach out for some like non-common ones. So Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Okay, nice.
Also dope.
Ed, Edd n Eddy.
I wasn't allowed to watch that because my mom thought it was too annoying. She was like, I don't want you doing any of that stuff. That's super dumb and annoying. So I wasn't allowed to watch it.
Courage the Cowardly Dog, Codename Kids Next Door. Oh, here's a really out one. I would be surprised if anyone gets this. Code Lyoko. I was super into that as a kid.
That one's dope too.
Yeah, that was a French anime.
I had a Wii game for that. Yeah.
Shout out to France this podcast.
Yeah, man.
True. Or Belgium, whichever one.
Challenge Showdown.
Okay.
Yes. What, did you never watch that, Parker?
No, I didn't. So I was in France for most of the, so until I was 10. Well, ages like 1 to 10, I was in France. But so what was the French anime you mentioned? Because I'm super curious about that.
Code Lyoko.
Interesting. I wonder if that was
like a bunch of kids go to a dorm school, find like a computer. The computer has scanners that send them into this like VR world.
Started 2003. I left France literally 2002. So I was like, I feel like I would have known about that, but yeah, that probably explains it. Cool. No, that seems like a cool one.
It's dope.
Nice. Yep, there we go. I've got more, I'm sure, but there's just so many good ones. So you know what? Here we are.
All right, what's a weird French one that we don't know?
Okay, so Titeuf and Albert le Cinquième Mousquetaire. Those are the ones that I can think of.
I remember growing up watching that on Cartoon Network.
So yeah, those are some good ones. Titeuf was like, it's like a just annoying. It's funny because like French cartoons, I don't know, thinking about it too, like swearing in France is so much less of a thing with kids. Like I just don't really swear in English. I don't know, it's just a thing.
Oh yeah, I know.
But like there's no reason for it other than I just don't. But then like growing up in France, I didn't realize that like so much of what I said was swear words. Like it's just part of the vernacular or whatever. And so like you just be swearing all the time. So it's just really funny. So like French cartoons, I feel like we're kind of the same way, where it's like a lot of them are like a lot raunchier for like a targeted 10-year-old cartoon in France than a targeted 10-year-old cartoon in the US. Maybe that's not the case now, but at least at the time that definitely felt like it. So it's just funny.
Yeah,
so Titeuf was definitely one of those
questionable scenes in it too, for like what I guess I didn't know was French at the time, but like now knowing it now, it makes sense. It's not a Western cartoon.
Yes. Kolyoko goes there.
I mean, like in Titeuf, again, like it's a kid's cartoon. It's based off of like a comic book kind of thing, and there's all sorts of times like that. It kind of feels a bit more like what's Big Mouth, like that, where it's like, you know, kids growing up or whatever, but it's like them hitting puberty, so it's like. And yeah, so it's a little bit more like that, but it's targeted at kids, where there's scenes where they're like looking at porn magazines and stuff, and they're 10, and it like kind of, you know, like blurs out some things, but it's like very obviously like, well, that's important right there, and you're like, I'm a kid. What are you doing?
That seems like an Ed and Eddie sort of thing too. They do it more so in the thing of like you watch that after the fact, and you're like, oh shoot, like I didn't know what they were like.
I think it's also
like Rocko's Modern Life or whatever.
That like I think animation over the years have started to not look down on kids. Like obviously, like you're a kid, but we know you know stuff. So
yeah. Man, it's interesting. All right, we're going to keep moving. Here we go. Benjamin Aquino says, my question is about Miis. They're not nearly as popular now as they were on Wii and 3DS. Do you think Nintendo is working on something heavily Mii-centric to quote-unquote bring them back? What do you think they could do to make them popular again? And would you care?
I think that they kind of like are trying to detach themselves from Mii's, but it's weird because like they keep updating them, but they're moving them more in the background. Like with Wii U, it felt like they wanted them to be at the forefront with like Miiverse and like all that stuff. Like the world, but after the initial launch and then being like, hey, you have this profile and it's associated with your Mii, and you like talk to other Mii's, and it's like this whole thing. They didn't really come out with a lot of games that focused on that. And I think the only game that I have that I even look at my Mii is Mario Kart. Because Smash Brothers, I don't want to be a Mii. I'm not playing Smash Brothers to be Mii.
You're playing Sans, everyone plays Sans now.
I don't even have Sans.
Just redeem that gold coin you have, it makes it free.
Right. Easy enough.
True.
Yeah, no, I agree as far as them, like, it seems like they're distancing themselves from it. Well, it's funny because that's one of the things, like, people just really enjoy making, I mean, people make Bitmojis or Meemojis or whatever these days, so, like, that's just a thing. But that's something that just like I think people enjoy as well. Like when Ashley made herself a profile on mine, she made herself a me, and like that's just a fun thing to do. So that's
like I don't know, like I feel like I did that less and less with every console. Like Wii, like that was a thing to do, where it was like, man, we're just going to make Mii's. Like I'm going to make a Cookie Monster Mii, like that type of crap.
You gotta get your Mii ready for that Everybody Votes channel, man.
Yeah, and then with Wii U, I didn't mess with any of that. I just made my Mii, and then Switch, I didn't even do that. I just transferred my Mii from my Wii U. So it's like I don't even know what the interface looks like for the editor on there.
Yeah, I think if you ever see any Return of the Mii, it'll probably be like the Animal Crossing characters, just like your own customized version. But they're obviously getting away from it. They're not using it very much, so I wouldn't be surprised if they just cancel it out pretty soon.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, I don't know. They could bring it back. In terms of the question, like, could they do something to make it popular again? I think just stick them on the front of, make it more like when you buy a Switch and you make a profile, it'll be like, go ahead and make your Mii. Like, I feel like I had to go out of my way to do it, like find it. Whereas if they just made you do it on the front end, then there you go. It's popular again. So, but that's not to say they will or want to. Last question.
The thing that's weird is like not even everybody I don't know, Luis, maybe you're the same, but I have so many friends on my Switch and none of them use their Mii except for like a very select few. Like Parker, you don't even use your Mii.
Nope, yeah, sure don't.
I feel like because I maxed out my account at one point with friends, so most of them are Nintendo characters. I'm like one of the only few people that I think still uses their Mii's. Like my Mii's just look like, or my profile account is like my Mii looking like real tired and sad. Because that's like usually it's like, hey, Luis is playing this game that's not out at 9 in the morning or like 6, 7 in the morning. Like, yeah, I feel like that Mii accurately represents like what's happening at the time. But yeah, everybody uses like whatever is the game they're currently playing. They're like, oh, a new Zelda's coming out, so like their profile picture is probably like Link or Zelda right now, and then it'll change as the new IP or the new first party game comes out. Yep,
mine is Cass because he was cool in Breath of the Wild. I like him. That's about it.
So rip Mii's.
It's all my fault because Cass stepped in and showed everybody up with his accordion and his bird self. Andre Carrazza Miguens, specifically from Luis's channel, asked us a question, and here it goes. He said, "I'll send my question here or through here in case you read it." Twitter is #TooToxic. What's the most non-Nintendo game / series that feels the most like a Nintendo game / series? It's a good question.
I'm assuming from any platform.
I would guess so. Yeah.
I'm primarily looking at first party. I'm not trying to look at third party.
Right. I mean, because otherwise you could also like there's some Nintendo, not first party stuff. Like it's not Nintendo, but it's exclusive to Nintendo. So like, blah, blah, like that kind of stuff feels like maybe a bit like a cop out.
Yeah, or even games like Ninja.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where it's just like it's just straight up with swords.
I guess one that comes to mind, other than the VR component, Astrobot. Like that seems kind of like that could be a Nintendo thing.
The thing that came to mind for me first was Little Big Planet.
That's what I was thinking. Anything Media Molecules made, so like Tearaway or
that too.
Dreams, like they're making Dreams on PS4. That totally looks like something they would launch with Labo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know. If you want like an easy cop out, Rare. Any Rare game? So
true. Like Banjo-Kazooie, sure.
I don't know. I can't think of anything else.
I guess like Spyro.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back to like any of the mascot games from like PS1 and 64 era.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with that kind of thing, and there's like plenty of other things where it's like, I mean, technically, Perfect Dark? No, not. I don't know. There's some games where it's like, that was a Nintendo game, and you're like, okay, if you say so. So then there's other franchises you could just be like, Resident Evil, like that's a Nintendo franchise. And it's like, no, But yeah, I think all those ones you guys listed are good ones. I feel like there's a perfect one somewhere, and I just am not thinking of it. But Those are some
It's
good
like
ones.
Ukulele, Hat in Time. Any
Yeah,
3D platform.
man.
Yes,
Very
true.
much so. I mean, that
Shovel-
said,
Shovel
tons
Knight.
of
Shovel
indie
Knight
games.
Shovel Knight,
and
yeah,
that type of
exactly.
Yeah, right, exactly. Tons of indie games that are like trying to purposefully bring back that kind of feeling of, that kind of a thing. So, good stuff.
And Death Stranding, obviously.
Obviously.
Very much so. Yep. All right, moving along. These are questions from Discord, and then we're closing in on the end of the show, guys. Here we go. Grimhane asked a question. We answered the second half of it already, but we're going to ask the first half. Now that this is a PlayStation podcast, let's talk about State of Play and how it delivered exactly what should be expected for a console in what is probably its last year of being the primary console from a company. It had more games than the 3DS did in the past year, so really, the people whining about how Sony has a lot to learn from Nintendo Directs should maybe consider that there's just not going to be big news game for PS4 in the coming year.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree that you'll see. I mean, take this with a grain of salt. You'll probably see something around late February to early March regarding number 5 somewhere. Again, what you're going to see now is like Last of Us, Death Stranding, and at the very tail end would be Ghost of Tsushima. But
Yeah.
you'll see the occasional indie. Like they just showed off Humanity, which looks like gibberish, but it's the newest game to come from Enhance, which is the big Tetris Effect company that just opened up last year. I don't think a lot of people made that connection. You're going to be seeing like a lot more indies. Or like exclusive indies on the platform, and then around February, March, you'll probably hear some murmurs about some PlayStation 5 stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a really good. I mean, what Grimhane said and all that stuff is like there's not going to be as much for them to talk about. I mean, then again, they probably could have thrown in a couple more. Like sometimes, obviously, quality over quantity, but a little more quantity isn't also necessarily a bad thing. Where they could throw in some like easy ones. Like there's some stuff that comes out on Nintendo platforms, or I mean in Nintendo Directs, where it's like, all right, who really cares about this? Sort of like that wasn't a really big deal, but whatever, we got it anyway. So I mean, maybe like Dead by Daylight for someone would be that kind of thing.
Yeah, I feel like that's what the medieval demo reveal was. Like, hey, this really old PlayStation 1 game's being remade. Here's like a demo. Play it right now.
So I feel like they could have just thrown in, like talked to more third parties, found out more games that are like coming out soonish that just haven't gotten announced, but also coming up to holiday, there's just not going to be as many of those. Like most big third party games are either being prepared for, the next console generation or already announced maybe or something. So I think it is a hard time for them to blow us out of the water maybe in the same ways that other things. But then again, like, I mean, they've definitely thought through their marketing strategy as far as like they don't want to talk about I don't know what game, Ghost of Tsushima or something like that. They don't want to talk about it until some later date or something like that. So
I think you should go back and see like the Wii U Direct that came out before the September reveal of the Switch, and then be like,
Yeah.
Also, since we're a PlayStation podcast now, I'm scared for PlayStation 5 in terms of like exclusives and stuff like that, out the gate. Because like PlayStation 4, I don't think PlayStation 4 had an exclusive that I cared about until 2014.
what was that, like Infamous
like
Second Son?
Bloodborne came out, and I was like, okay, this game's dope. I'm buying a PlayStation. But like before that, it was like I feel like Nintendo always comes out the gate with at least one by the end of the first year that it comes out, regardless of what it is. Like even like we had like Mario 3D World and stuff like that.
Was that year one?
Yeah,
it's been so long ago. I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure it was like it wasn't like at launch, but it was within the first year.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. It's been so long.
I don't know.
What's
I know. I think 3D World might have been 2013.
I think it was the year later.
I think it was 2013.
I think Mario Kart 8 came out the year it came, like the year of the Wii. No, it wasn't, because Wii U came out at the end.
Deluxe.
It was like Mass Effect 3 Nintendo Land.
Yeah, it was at the tail end of 2013, and that's what I mean. I mean within the launch year. I don't mean like the it didn't come out in 2012.
Yeah, I mean because like PS4 would have been like Killzone, Shadowfall.
Yeah.
Yeah, like PlayStation 4 took a while to like get kicking.
I mean, I guess some of that's
because even now they kind of like leak out a little bit, and they're like usually really good, but there's not that many of them. where it's like, oh, you'll get maybe 2 exclusives from PlayStation every other year.
The thing that's interesting too is for a while PlayStation was really the only place that had, and still will be the case to some degree, but like having just Japanese games, like Japanese bigger budget games or something like that, just aren't going to come to Xbox, and so they'll be like PC and PS4, and then some of those wouldn't come out to, obviously wouldn't come out to the Wii U and stuff like that. So whereas now, like, there's obviously some that still they won't bother to come to the Switch, like Code Vein or whatever isn't coming to the Switch, but it is coming to Xbox, I'm pretty sure. But so that's just going to be an interesting thing where like they'll have a little bit less exclusivity in that realm than they used to, maybe, because now more of it's coming to Xbox because they're kind of developing those relationships with Japanese developers, even if it's not selling super well on there, like they're at least trying. And then similarly, like now more of those are also coming out on Nintendo consoles. So but there's also plenty of people that'll just buy it for also third parties and stuff, even if their first party stuff's kind of fewer and further between, compared to maybe a Nintendo console or something like that. But I don't know. It's interesting.
Yep. So that's the PlayStation podcast for this week.
Also, they have I guess they do cross-generational stuff. So if you already had a PS4 and you get, like The Last of Us 2, if they put that out on PS5 as well, or Ghost of Tsushima or whatever.
I was about to say, I would be shocked, or I am shocked if they don't do The Last of Us 2 on PlayStation 5.
Yeah, you'll definitely see Stranding.
I'd also be shocked if they don't do Stranding.
My guess would be you see Stranding, Last of Us 2 there on launch, and then Ghost of Tsushima, I imagine, is a holiday next year game that will also co-launch on PS5.
Yep. I agree. Pitar35 asks a very poignant question that really brings into question everything else we've talked about. He says, what are video games?
It's that thing your mom yells at you to stop playing.
True. It's what you do when you're not outside.
Unless you have a Switch, in which case, maybe, sometimes, a little bit, and your phone. So there you go. There's that. Good question, Pitar35. Who's even to say? Grim Hain asks again some more questions. He says, when are you going to have a big blowout celebration podcast with notable guests on the channel like Dan, Max, Pete, Luis, Mitch, and I suppose maybe Bob, all on?
That sounds like
How did I get on the notable guest list already? This is my first one.
There you go. It happens just like that.
Hey, you know what? He's being positive, He just is so. It's a little bit too late, but knock it out of the park.
Grim Hain, I want you to review my appearance on this podcast. Drop it in the Discord.
Yeah, you don't even have to play through an 80-hour game for
That's right. Just listen to a 2-hour and 15-minute
podcast. Give me a score out of 10. Tweet it to me at Luis_GVN. Thank you.
I'm sure maybe we can get more than one other person on at some point, but that's going to be chaos, especially the way we do things over here. Like, we would have to switch it up quite a bit, but you know what? Hey.
And that podcast would be so
that's what we're going to have to switch up, because the way we do it's just like, let's talk about things till we're done talking about them. But that would be a big old mess. Next question he's got, Super Mario World or Mario 3? You will be graded but not judged for your answers.
World,
100%. Easy enough. Cool. All right, last question.
Okay.
Dogs or cats? You will both be graded and judged.
Dogs.
Shibas. Specifically Shibas.
I don't want to answer this question. So I won't. There you go. That's it.
You're allowed to be wrong. It's cool.
Wait, do you have a cat?
I grew up with cats. Like I never had a dog.
But you don't have a cat, so you answer the question.
So my wife is allergic to cats, but I would very much love to have cats as well as my dogs.
That's even more of a reason to pick
If that ain't love, I don't know what is.
So I both dogs and cats. I think cats, like, you have to have specifically the relationship of like you and me and my cat, because otherwise, like, I don't know, most cats and strangers is like not really a thing. It's just whatever. But your own cat, like, that's a good connection right there. Whereas dogs are like generally pretty nice to everybody, and they're great and hilarious and wonderful. So like I love them both.
So he just said dogs.
No, it's both. Hey, you know what? I'm not answering the question one way or another.
It's fanatixfour approved.
You claim 10 dogs and 10 cats.
Neither. I'm too good of a human to do that. I don't know. But that's it. Hey, you know what, guys? That's it from this. Luis, before we go away, where can everybody find you? Hopefully they already did while they were listening, but in case they didn't.
You can find me at youtube.com/LuisGVN. That's LuisGVN. And then Twitter, Luis_GVN.
Nice. Good stuff. Everybody go follow Luis. Tell him hello. Grimhane, give him a rating out of 10. And then otherwise, that's it from us. We are done. We will see you guys next time. Peace.
Yeah, goodbye.
Later.